everybody. Welcome to the Getting Naked with TJ podcast. It has been a while, and I have a special episode with my birthday balloon in the background. Are we freezing? Birthday balloon. Birthday was end of August, but it's still floating, so I feel like it's got some life to it. I got fresh bone broth here, about 6 quarts brewing in the crock pot in the slow cooker. All right. This episode is special. We have a couple special guests, but first of all, we've got my good friend, my go-to in the training world. You know this. You know that I only recommend or say 2 people's names in the field of medicine and health and rehab and all things, and this is one of them. The other is Dr. Cassie Huckabee. This is one, Vladimir Curguz. We've done 2 episodes previous, and we've broken some records, and we said that we were going to get people jackets who are listening all the way through because I think the episodes are like 2 or 3 hours long. This one's not going to be so long, but needless to say, we've lived a lot of life since then. This man is constantly learning, constantly evolving, and I have massive, massive respect for him as a professional colleague and then also as one of my best good buddies. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Vladimir Curguz. Here we go. And if you've heard me imitate him, I want to see what you think of my imitation.
Oh,
hello, Vladdy, you're on the air.
Can you hear me?
hello, Vladimir, you're on the air.
Excuse me. What do you do here?
What do you do here?
What do you do here? Kelly, you take it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my good buddy, Vladimir Curguz, back to the show for the 3rd time, correct?
First time on camera. I don't know where to look. Do I look in the camera? Do I look in the video?
I don't know what to do with my hands. Vladdy, you could look straight up.
I don't know. I haven't done video
as a challenge. You can look wherever you want, man. How are you?
I'm good. Knock on wood. Pretty good. Better than last year. Can you hear me?
When was the last time we did this?
I don't know. Was it last year?
It was a while, right?
Yeah, it had to be a year.
So I want to cover, because there's some people that are new. There's a lot of people that are new. A lot of things I've gotten deleted twice off of certain things, and I brought this back. And then I left these podcasts for a while because I felt like I didn't have anything else to share. Like there's so much information out there. We've interviewed so many friggin' people. It's like, now go live. You know, I'm not just sitting here masturbating on a podcast so you guys can have episodes. Like, I needed something fruitful, and there was just, truthfully, I don't want to interview anybody, man. Like, there's nobody out there that I care to hear. There's just, it's so old and so drowned out and so bullshit, and everyone's pushing their own. But then I gotta say, dude, you reached out, and you're somebody that kind of lays low. You keep to yourself. You keep your own stuff, and you reached out, and you were like, yo, how about a podcast? And that literally struck me because I was like, one, of course, I'd love jamming with you and we could do this forever, right? Like we could just go and go and go. But then I was like, wait a second. He doesn't ask for this often. Like this doesn't happen. So that's why I was like, what's going on, man? And so I literally want you to just take the floor. And what was your reasoning behind, besides jamming with me on video, but like,
I mean, we can talk or not talk. I mean, we can talk or not talk forever.
We both enjoy soup and snow peas.
I think we spoke a few times in the past to get like another podcast, but I never really followed up.
It's a little down, so just get in wherever the mic is. Yeah.
Okay, mic is in the headphones. Maybe it's better if I take the headphones.
I hear. Oh. Yeah, try.
Let me try to take them off. One second. Maybe it might be better.
That's blasting. I feel like I'm at a Metallica concert now, or like a Rammstein concert.
How about now?
Yeah, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
Du hast. I think it's du hast.
Du hast.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we spoke maybe a few times a while back, but
I never followed up on it. Didn't really feel like it. And I don't really do these things at all.
No.
Never did it like this on camera, but it's just been building, and just last few weeks, more than few weeks, but I sort of feeling like, I don't know, maybe we should try again. let's try this again and pretend you guys are not weird. Also from the movie. And maybe part of my therapy, part of my venting, because I don't really go on social media. I think for me, it's one of the many problems that we have, and one of this like really, really severe, I'd say, probably more detrimental than beneficial, all the technology in this. So that's why I messaged you the other day, like, let's do this podcast and just see how we do. And I think the general idea was just to give like a basic, maybe guidelines or example or template or whatever you want to call it, like what people could do, just the most simple stuff. I don't know if we will or not, but that was my idea. But other than that, more than that, just want to talk about the length of time that it takes to do stuff, commitment, the effort, all that stuff that's been just diminished insanely with the whole approach of everything.
Okay.
And that's about it. I don't really do it anywhere. I know you do a lot of these things. So I figured, hey, let's talk to TJ again. Let's try it again with maybe some new examples, maybe from how was everybody's last year. I mean, few people say it was best year they had ever. I mean, might not be nice to say, depends, how you look at things, but, thank God almost for last year, because it helped sort of, you can use it as a vehicle or a tool or however to make yourself better, because that's what we try to do the whole time. And not just us, but whoever is immediately in our surrounding, hopefully rubs it off on them, at least something. Yeah. And then now, I don't know, I had this argument, we were talking with somebody before, and, like that butterfly effect, right? Butterfly wings here, flap the wings once and this tornado somewhere else, whether it happens or not. I don't know. And then we were talking, I said, with all our stuff, we do cause positive ripple effects for sure.
Yeah.
And then the person actually was listening and smart enough. And then she said, well, so you're saying that maybe, yes, it is a ripple, it will travel, but the tsunami of BS everywhere will drown it so much that it never really expresses, or it never really, it's so dimmed that it's not even noticeable.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty right on point.
Right.
But still, what is the alternative?
Right.
So we got to do our thing, because I think everything moves like that in the cycles, and everything is duality.
Yep.
You can't have positive without negative, good without bad, light without dark. So I feel we have to do, if we know, or we think we know, or believe, however you phrase it, we got to do our part, right? And it starts with us. I cannot go and expect my gym and people in there to start improving and get better if I'm not getting better myself in some regard. And this is not just physical. This is beyond it. Physical is like the least. That's like every moron can go and get in okay shape. We are trying to become better people for not just better people around us, but for the planet, man.
Yeah.
Because I just talked with somebody recently, increasingly so. And my position on this is like asteroid. I think that's the solution. Just to start the whole thing again, just reset. I don't really see. I hope.
But what he's getting at is saying that an asteroid, the solution to all our problems, might need to be an asteroid completely hitting the Earth and resetting everything. So just to let you know, that's how extreme.
Right, I feel that would be the most fair. Not biased, nothing. No, it doesn't matter who, what, where you lay in the social whatever ladders and stuff. Everybody just transfers to different plane at once. Yeah. I think it's the most fair thing.
Yeah.
Now, outside of that, I don't know. I hope that things will get better, and they might, because every generation bitches about the previous one, how bad they are. Right. If you look historically and through the books and everything, doesn't matter if it's fiction or training and stuff. It was always better before.
Sure.
So the only difference now, in my mind, is technology is like moving forward at such a fast rate.
Yeah.
That I'm not sure that we can follow up with it. And then maybe it's just going to be another adjustment or something. But the way it's heading, or I might already be there.
Yeah.
I just can't wrap my head around it. I just can't deal. And then I think everything that we do is more to try to preserve maybe our peace of mind or what we think it's some sort of common sense, logical sort of thinking. And that's all we can do, because the alternative, I like even less.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. And it just requires, like you wrote this a few times, just crazy amount savage discipline, because people get motivated here and there, motivated or inspired or this or that. And that's cool. But then, and you can use it as a jump off point. But I, speak with people sometimes, or, if somebody's interested to actually hear it, for the most part, no one really listens. You lose them like within 5 to 7 seconds, maybe.
Of course.
And, right. So I don't know. I think.
Let me ask you something, man. So I just want to catch people up, because everybody thinks that I'm going off the way I go off because I got deleted on Instagram twice. And I'm so upset. And I'm just going to say, well, that was the tipping point. But then what I've seen behind a lot of these curtains, from freedom groups to truthers to health people, because everybody's found a way to capitalize off of this trauma of 2020, but not in a good way, not in a healthy way. Like they're just poaching people. And so here's the thing. So I'm so, Vladi, and you know this, I'm at the end of I'm not delicate anymore. I'm gentle to a standpoint. There's no more leash. There's no more leash. People will start Zoom sessions with me and they're like, I'm kind of scared, to be totally honest. I'm like, no, I'm not. Show me you give a shit. I'll help you and go run with it. And I will have your back forever if you just show me just something, some small thing. But from what I've seen, and this is where I just want you to describe, you've been in this field and observation longer than me. I've said, Vladi, I've stated this many times. I know you've read that I've said this. I just want to see what you think about it, if you agree, and then if you can expound on it. In my opinion, we are at our lowest level of evolution that from my alive years, from my being here and being alive and witnessing this physically, emotionally, intellectually, mentally, spiritually, nourishment, connectivity, values, beliefs, competency, sleep. I mean, everything I've ever seen is at such a rock bottom level, but we always think we're these geniuses because we're top of the food chain, because we can, like you said, the technological factor. But I will argue, somebody who uses technology every day, I am at my highest I've ever been, but the majority of people, the masses, are at the worst I've ever seen. And that's why I'm like, we're at an edge of a cliff, and I'm yelling at you right now. You're about to go over a cliff. I can't do this anymore. So I just screamed it. Now I just don't care if people get it or not, but it's truth. It's my truth. It's a capital T truth. That's where I'm coming from. What do you feel in your aspects of you? I mean, you've witnessed this years longer than I have. What's your take?
Yeah, well, I feel we are already falling off, though. It's like the joke when optimist is falling down, and every floor he's so far so good. I think that's where we are right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that's what it is.
Still so far so down.
Yeah, I think we fell off. I don't know. I mean, time will tell, right? But it seems like there were civilizations before, come and go or disappear completely, and then they don't know what happened. Maybe we are reaching or reached or are in the beginning of that, or middle, wherever we fall, in some sort of crazy, decadent, weird period where things will just keep going until they don't go anymore. It's just, and I don't know, I haven't seen it. I've been professionally working for over 20 years now, and I've experience from Serbia as well, which is in Europe. Balkans, if people don't know right off the top of their mind where it is, and then here. And what I've noticed, I visited Serbia twice over the past 3 years. Same deal, man. It's like I don't recognize my own country.
Worldwide.
The way people are just out of shape. My buddy from college here in the States is a strength coach there since 2002. Yeah. So almost coming up on 20 years. And I went because I like the gym. So when I'm home for a week or two, I'll go once or twice to the gym that he works at, just watch training and just hang out and stuff. Yeah, just kids, 14, 15, that are supposed to be like serious athletes can perform like 10 proper push-ups, 1, maybe 2 chin-ups, can barely stand, but yet somehow their skill level for that age is adequate for them to do whatever they feel they need to do. However, it's very, very short lasting. It's just for that specific time period, and they go through this kit so fast. And then the some that make it are just unicorns or resilient or something, but it's worse than it's been. And like you said, you're using this technology and everything, and you're at the highest level. When we are talking, just so people understand, I think we speak about generally people, groups of people, not specific unicorns who make things better and stuff. We are speaking on the whole, because that's what we are trying to affect. Because people that do stuff will do stuff regardless. That's where I was going earlier when I was speaking about the discipline part. Yeah. And I tell this to kids to illustrate. They go, they're not motivated, that's okay, So every morning when you wake up to go to school, before when people were going to school, you don't, generally speaking, I don't know any kid when I was going to school that would say, this morning I woke up, I leaped out of the bed and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to go to school today, get all these classes. Or people going to work. It's very rare that people will wake up on a general and be like, oh, I can't wait to stand by that cash register or line on the office for 10 hours. I'm so pumped. But you do it because it's discipline. You figure it out. It's a trade-off. And that was from our previous podcast. I think everybody got to find what their threshold is of accepting things that they can live with and doing their own thing, because we still live surrounded with the other people. And then it's just a matter of what you can and afford, I guess, to put up with. It's kind of balanced things. Some people can do more, some less, depending on the situation. But the point is everybody got to make their own choice for themselves. And we are here to guide or advise, if you will, because I do believe that everybody will need, and we can get into that in a little bit, everybody needs, it's very difficult to find a way yourself. It's not impossible, but we all had help and we all had years of experience, going on 20 plus years. And we still are, I feel, just starting. Oh, yeah. I was talking to a daughter, a friend of mine. She's 17, a high school kid, but fairly smart. And they want me to talk to her. About fitness. She had some issues not issues, but questions about maybe food or training and stuff. And I was trying to tell her it's just effort and time, kind of like paraphrase from Shawshank Redemption, geology, like pressure and time. All it takes, just pressure and time and big poster, I guess, to hide the hole in the wall. But outside of that, it's just, that's what it is. That's what wins long term. And that's what gets lost. Everybody tries to capitalize on the nonsense, on a 5 minutes this or twice a week or 3 times or that. They don't understand that before we didn't improve. We're not like, our brain is a computer, but we do not learn and go through things at the same rate as computers does. It takes way more because it's a lot more stuff than just a linear sort of algorithms or however they work it in a computers. And that requires time. Like I like the Far East or Asian cultures a lot. So if you look at them, we spoke about this before. In Japan, for example, there is a documentary on this, but it's actual thing. It's called, I might have mentioned it before. It's called Takumi. It's their art of craftsmanship. And it can be applied for anything. So it takes them, 60,000 hours before they can become a master. So they start usually 4, 5, 6, whatever it is. And so that's, if you divide it in our work days, it's about 30 years. So it's like 20 to 30 years to become a master. Or if you are training to be a sushi chef or something, you might not touch a knife for a year or something. Yeah. There is also their famous samurai, I mentioned him before, Miyamoto Musashi, in his book of 5 Rings. We mentioned this before. He says 1,000 days of daily practice to become adequate. That ends being about 3 years or so. Right. And then he says another 10,000 to achieve mastery. So we come to same 25, 30 years, however looking, but this is daily. This is not I'm going to a class twice a week or 3 times a week and, I'm burning cardio or burning calories, doing HI, whatever, something, intensity. Then I watched the Shaolin, and we spoke about Shaolin monks too. Yeah. They'll spend year 2 more if necessary, just working on one thing. Yeah. Then I watched this Shaolin monk. He lives in Germany, and he says, apply this to anything, business, school, fitness, whatever you're into. But you got to know. That's the big thing. You have to know what it is you want. And if you don't know what you want, maybe at the very least try to figure out what is it that you do not want to happen. At very least know what you don't want to happen. And then try to work, but still do these things that we can just suggest. Because I feel even just mechanically doing things, even if you don't put any mind or intellect behind it, just go mechanical. Eventually something will get triggered. And even if it doesn't, the side effect will be just improved health just by mechanics of it.
Right.
So it's a win-win. There is no downside.
Right.
So anyway, this Shaolin guy says, he's in Germany, mind you. So he said, figure out what is it that you want and then structure the entire day, 24/7, 365 for next period of 2 to 3 years, working on that as best as you can every day, as much as you can. And then after 2 or 3 years, see and evaluate and see, if you got a little better, if you're on your right way, if you're going to adjust and stuff. But the point is time. You didn't take intense 2-weekend course or intense 6 months training and became a master of this. I mean, I had somebody stop by to drop off some cards and letters, something. I'm not even going to say what it is. Something that requires, in my mind, some of the Asian disciplines for health. And I looked on a training outline. It was like 6 months intense something, and then 1.5 years intense. So 2 years, that's it. And I'm thinking, okay. And then the list of things they deal with, like, oh my God, just to be able to even know what these things are, in my mind, it would require at least some basic anatomy and physiology knowledge, maybe a little more than basic. And that in itself will require 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I studied anatomy twice. I studied in Serbia, and our anatomy, at least when it comes to musculoskeletal system, was on par, if not stronger than the medical college students, because we were like really good in just that one aspect, musculoskeletal, right? We could be any doctor in that, just go call, don't have to prepare. And then that took a year. And then here, I mean, college was really easy, like I mentioned before. It's a completely different system, although now everybody's kind of carbon copy American system.
Right.
Like it's the best system. I don't know, probably to everybody's detriment, I think, on a broad scale. We're not talking like specific unicorns or people that, everybody's special. That's another thing I have a gripe with.
I know.
Yes, everybody's special, fine. But everybody's not also special. Everybody's like in that one movie, and she says, my big fat Greek wedding at the end, when the guy says, we're all fruit, we are all, you might be apple, you might be orange, but we are all the same.
Yeah.
Special and not special at the same time, like those dualities that I was talking about. Yeah. And I also see it in the gym, like more and more increasingly so. And I've been, I sort of canceled. I mean, it's not funny, and this is not kids' fault. I think it's more parents and stuff. We had a group of kids going, but they were supposed to train, 2 or 3 times a week, do their homework. Every time I check them once a month or so, when I just come to see how they're doing. Very little improvement. Then they dropped it to 1, then every once in a while, and then they want to come once. So I just stopped it. Yeah. It's supposed to be, I don't know, maybe 6, 8 or something kids. And I just can't do it because I said this to people so many times. I don't know why they still don't hear me. Yes, money is important. I like to go to store and buy food. I'm not going to go and fend and live off the land. But it's not my primary driver. I need something more than that.
Right.
If I'm going to do things, to keep doing it, because unless you come in and say, you're not interested in really, you just want to exercise, move around, feel a little better. Yeah. You're not trying to play or anything. All right, then we'll do it like that. But if you come with a specific, and I won't turn you down if you know what it is, if you're honest with it, that's totally fine. But if you come in with something, say, a lot of people like to lose weight, for example, because I think 75% of the country is overweight. I think 40-some% is in obese category. Yeah. So that's good. But then they'll be like, either this, I don't have time, I'm so busy, this or that. It's so easy for you guys. Okay, for men, easier than women because hormone differences, sure.
Right.
But still, it's not impossible. It's still doable. And you might have to accept maybe you'll take 2 or 3 years. Yeah. Why are you shooting for 2 or 3 week time period? Take 2, 3, 4 years, lose 5-10 pounds a year. Do that over the next, 2 to 4 years. You'll be down 40 to 60 pounds, maybe more, because once you start, this is the thing, because a lot of people never go long enough for things to actually start sort of feeding on themselves,
right?
And sort of moving you forward, that you can, because it might feel like a waste of time, you might be miserable, because a lot of it, that's why I said earlier, a lot of this, it mostly has to do with brain. It's mostly mental, it's not physical. And that's when the demons come, and that's when ego wants to protect, because it feels like every time we are trying to move up or increase our vibration, the ego always wants to stop it and bring us back and stop what we are doing. And that's really, really difficult. That's why it has to be attempted every day. And you're not going to always progress. It's never going to be linear. You're going to go up, you're going to go down. Like people, when they watch this, and I see in your video sometimes somebody might assume, man, like these guys, they have like no worries, no this, no that, but they don't live in your skin or mine. We don't know them. I mean, we judge each other, and that gets like a bad rep, like judging, because the word nowadays, words are weird and everybody has problem with everything. But I think it's just a word that just, you can say observing others or however you want to. In my mind, it doesn't have a negative connotation to it. It's just evaluating, if you will.
Right.
Like if you're in a competition or something, they're judges. Nobody sees them as like villains, right? So I don't know, that time, that gets lost. And if you want to go philosophical and stuff, you say, well, there is no time, there is construct, you see this and that, okay. But what we are dealing with like this, and we're speaking about just improving ourselves, and our vehicle is physical regimen, but more than that, it's not just that. That is now, last maybe 5, 10, 20, however many years. It turned into just mindless freaking robots running in a hamster wheels, drinking specific amounts of water every 15 minutes and doing all this stuff, and stressed more than ever. Yeah. And what you say in your post, and I know this because I see it, I have a gym. And when I didn't have, even before, the bathroom when they go is unregulated. Stool is just like blowouts, or, you know, going to bathroom way more, or drinking, or always thirsty, always, oh my God, I'm always parched.
Yeah.
Never closing their mouths.
No.
Or just periodically. And all we can do is just keep going. If, as long as it doesn't, it's kind of like training. You want to do the most you can that you can recover from. Otherwise, it breaks you down more than it builds you up over time. Right. So it's the same thing here. In my own case, I allow it for the time being, for as much as I think I can handle without negatively affecting what I do the rest of the time, and during that time too. And I have some measures that I like, because I'm very structured. I'm a lot less creative than you are. I do have maybe half a creative bone in my body or something, but I'm very analytical and structured. So I like in my mind, like objective measures. And I don't really measure it. I don't have any like devices or anything like that. But I know when I do my breathing meditations every morning, which, you know, I dabbled with breathing, like you remember even from Synergy from 20 years ago. I dabbled with breathing outside, and I would do the Tai Chi twist turners, and I did vacuum, if you remember. And I also stood outside, sun gazed. It was like mid to early 2000s, so like barefoot on the floor. Dabbled, but never like stuck with it. And since Rona hit, or whatever it is, I sort of doubled down on my efforts. And it started earlier, maybe 3-4 years ago. I thought, I was speaking with the new clients to dance. You know, I thought I was losing my mind. So I went to therapy for 6 months just so I can bounce my ideas and thoughts of somebody that's outside of my circle. Yeah. Just to see, hopefully he's just not straight lying to me the whole time. Right. Just because I didn't want to talk to anybody that I knew. I just wanted to bounce against somebody that's not connected to me in any way. Yeah. And what I learned in those 6 months is that everything that I knew, really, nothing new, was just reinforced. And then one thing, therapist went to some sort of vacation, skipped 2 or 3 sessions. And then he said, you know, everybody will survive, which was huge. Like, yes, you don't need that guy. So I used him as a starting point to sort of, not to use him forever as a crutch, but just as something to sort of, because at the time there was a bunch of things happening, and Would I come out of it or not? Probably I would. I don't know, but I felt this is what I wanted to do. And then I use it as a jump point. I'm like, okay, well, nobody died from all his other, crazies that come to see him. So there is no reason to, I don't want to be dependent that unless I see the guy, same like with us, unless they see us once or twice a week to feel like I'm not going to function on my own. Right. I like us to empower people in a way that, yes, come see us for a checkup or periodic or regular. That's what you like to do.
Sure.
But don't think that you can do all that on your own. Because I will regularly give people what to do on their own. But the thing is, most people will not do it.
Right.
And that's fine too. That's why they come to the gym. So that's what got me started with this. And then I just went for those 6 months, and I'm glad I did, just so I experienced that too. Because in my mind, it was like a taboo, especially growing up in Serbia. If you go and talk to some counselor like that, it's like clinical worker, social worker, something like that, or whatever it is. If it's psychiatrist, psychologist, it's taboo. It's like you almost like shame, something is wrong with you. Right. It's very negative connotation. So I had a lot of internal struggle with that, thinking, am I betraying people that are around me, or like my parents or friends, by talking to the guy about how I feel about things? But then after a while, I thought, well, no, because I'm responsible for my own self, which is really hard because you really have to take accountability and stop blaming everybody for everything. And we always blame our parents, or at least that's a cliche.
Right.
And we still do, but we can get to the point that we might maybe understand why they did what they did, or at least tolerate it if we want to keep relationship, if that's important to us. But that all leads into Rona hits last year, and I've been already doing work for a couple of years, more so than before, on a sort of mental health aspect rather than just mechanically working. And even mechanically working, still, I mean, I went, how long did I work? Probably like 17, 18 years without taking any vacations, just to make money. Just when I was sick, which happened maybe a few times that I can't move, like incapacitated, which happened maybe a handful of times over those 18 years. I never skipped work. And this is not like when people say, oh, I didn't skip work, I didn't take sick. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying no vacations.
Yeah.
You understand? 18 years, no vacations, just maybe January 1st, or maybe a lot of times I did work Christmas Day, but say December 25th, or if I'm incapacitated. So and I wasn't practicing mental health so much, but I always stayed with exercise, which I think helped me get through all these things.
Yeah.
When I started taking a little better care of myself. And then try to sort of go back to it and reevaluate and try to do it together. So then last year I started, now going about a year and a half. Every morning I do, it varies from 20 minutes to an hour. It's like breathing meditation, but I like Wim Hof. I like Wim Hof for years.
Yeah.
Has a good structure, the Iceman, and it's pretty simple to do. So I do that, but it doesn't matter what it is. It just needs to be a routine, because body likes routine. It has to be a routine. It needs to be scheduled. You cannot change, or you can change. Maybe that's your routine, changing things all the time. I don't know, but it needs some sort of consistency, whatever that is. And that's lacking more and more, increasingly so. And also because, and I think especially now that a lot of people are doing this work through the screen and camera, so everybody got to make up some sort of nonsense to attract you or quickly grab your attention so they can make something out of it. That's why if you see my page, we do have Instagram that David controls. I don't have it, so I don't count that really as a page. On my Facebook page for gym, I don't post anything, just on a New Year's. Happy New Year, thanks for support. That's it. Then if you want more, come to the gym and see, like face to face. But I also wanted to say, if people have questions or something, or need some guidance, I'd be willing to answer some question, not in a form like this. Send an email. If you don't know what the email is, figure it out. It's on the Facebook. Tommy has his page. I have my Vlad's gym. Ask a question and might get answer. My follow-up might be answered with a different question or something. Anyway, willing to help with no charge like that. And just with the basic sort of direction, because it's really, that gets lost sometimes. And I have to get better with that as well, because sometimes we forget that we are doing this for such a long time, And we are at least me, I'm just sort of starting for the last year or something to get actual insight.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I spoke with a 17-year-old daughter of a friend of mine, and I told her, for the maybe last same thing I told her, year and a half, I'm starting to kind of feel more, not just do it and believe it, but actually kind of internally feel it. It's a different quality of experience, more insightful, and very, very, I can notice more subtle changes.
Yeah.
And I can do more fine-tuned things, right? And I say, and she looks at me and she goes, so 20 years and just like last year and a half, you're just starting to get some insight? And I go, yeah, I think I'm ahead of the time. Give me like 10 more years and I'll be good. I mean, I think I'll get good. I consider myself now okay, and maybe better than a lot of people around just because I see what they're doing, but not great or good or like I really know. I'm just a student like everybody else is, and it's constant daily attempts. That's another thing that get lost. So when I suggest things, generally speaking, I say people, you have to attempt every day, because if people think I'm just going to do it twice a week or 3 times a week, something happens, now you're down to 1 or twice. Something happens again, next thing you know, you're done.
50%.
But if you attempt every day, sure, sometimes you'll skip, but it shouldn't be weekly. Maybe monthly, maybe less. Things will happen, life will happen, something unaccounted for. But if attempt is made every day, then when things do happen, or you're like, I'm just not going to do it today. But then enjoy that so much more.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty for bailing on things. Just use that like a vacation, not like I'm celebrating, I'm free. No, these are not shackles. You're not free from them. You're just using that as a tool so you can, all other experiences can be greater and more vivid and more like high depth sort of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like when you take a small dose of mushrooms and everything is like just amazing, like vibrant and like a full high depth.
Yeah.
Like that feel, but without the drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying one thing or the other. If you like drugs, do them by all means, but be aware of like what you're doing and what can happen, and just make your own choice and don't hurt anybody. Try not consciously, and even subconsciously try not to.
Right.
And I don't know, I'm going back and forth here and there. I'm really not sure yet which direction we're going, but I've been sort of philosophical.
I massively value what you've inspired me in my life and everything, and I've talked about it many times, and again, I feel the same way. Like I literally just had a shift like this last like month, just like things I'm doing, things I'm working with Cassie on, like stuff that I'm going into myself. Like I'm reinvigorated again, Vladi, to go even like to push these things more, because I know there's levels more, and I just want to see. I want to see like where it goes, because the thing is, whether it's just my view of the same world that I've been doing, like a trip hits differently, or an engagement hits differently, or a meal hits differently, or a sunset looks differently, or a discussion. Like, I don't know if that means I'm going somewhere. I just know my interpretation of everything coming in is so fucking rad. Like what you said with shrooms, like literally like looking out the window and it's just all like, I want to get there all the time. Like, I just want it to be that way all the time. Right. And so literally V, pushing myself more and doing these interviews and talking to people, I was like, wait, I could do better. Like, and I know that I could do better, or I could do more for myself. And in doing more for myself, I'm in a better position for my neighbor, for you, for family, for whatever, for the whole. And if we're all bacteria, so to speak, I want the earth to think that I should be kept here because I kind of dig it. Like, I like this experience and I want to stay for now. But if I have to go, I'm out and I'll rock. But what? Go.
So just what you just said, so people don't think the asteroid idea is too outlandish. This is my reasoning, what you just said. So my vehicle for the past year and a half, and increasingly so now that it got colder, I do expose myself like a nerve, not to completely naked because I don't want to be arrested at the park, but I'm in shorts and I'll go, outside in cold and stuff. But outside of that, with the breathing stuff, and practicing, I'm thinking and bring meditation, because for me, it just works for now. And I've been doing it, like I said, 1.5 years. So these are measures that I know, like if my heart rate is good, I know how my times are, if I can calm my head. And that triggers the thinking too. So what you just said with Earth. So when I'm outside, and I calculate out, I spend on the average 2+ hours every day on averaging. So now this is not every day. Some days an hour and a half, some days it's 5.
Nice.
But average is like about over 2 hours outside. So I use it. I try to feel like I'm absorbing energy or everything around me. I try to feel it, not just on my skin, but trying to feel it like coming like in me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like going like inside of me, the universe, if you will, or whatever it's around us, the energy. I'm trying to feel it. And then I'm thinking, so this is where the asterisk comes in. Okay, what are we as humans on a whole? We are not contributing to the planet at all. We are like straight up user parasite.
Yeah.
We are just destroy. We just take. We just, like
the
ravage
ours.
everything.
Like it's here for us to like.
Right. We just like rape it as much as we can repeatedly. And then we expect like it will, and it does give back still.
Yeah.
It still gives back if you know how to look and ask for it. But it takes time. It might not give it back first time you meditate. Maybe it'll take you 10 years. Maybe it'll take you 6 months. I don't know. But you gotta deserve it, if you will. It's not just gonna be just presented to you. You gotta do the work. That's the thing. And I think where we agree on, and that's why we probably still stayed and talking and all that, is because we use the physical training, like I mentioned before, but I don't think I finished that thought. Before, it wasn't just mechanical in nature. It was all encompassing. That's why I like to use these terms like from the Latin, was mens sana et corpore sano. You might have heard that probably in a medical school. It's like in a healthy body, healthy spirit. Greeks have that, kalokagatia predates that. We have our own expression, but basically the old time enthusiasts from like thousands of years ago up to recently, even now there are people, but they're not, you really don't see them. You're not training just to train. You're training, but everything needs to be involved. Yeah. You use that as a meditation, if you will, to get into your own world, to shut out the outside influences, which are seen and unseen. There is a gazillion of waves going through the air that we don't see.
Right.
We don't know how that affects us long term. Does that skew our thinking or not? Why not? If everything is electricity and impulses, and these things are just going through our brain like millions of times, we don't know. But this is the alternative, doing nothing, in my opinion. Yeah. So try to be more resilient and better by utilizing everything that we can. And everybody got to find what it is for them. So like I wrote before a while ago, and in talks, there is no best. Yeah. Everybody's like, best this, best that, best that. No, it's no best. You just want to do things. Doesn't matter if it's best if you yourself are not going to do it.
Right.
It needs to be something that you will do on a consistent basis for a very, very long time, and is not damaging you more than it's building you up long term. I think that's the most basic way for me to put it. And that's it. There's other ways around it, approaches, but ours is this, just exercise and mindfulness, I guess.
Dude, so that's something that I want, and you know this, like even this discussion, but every inch of my life when I wake up and go to bed, and hopefully while I'm sleeping too, it's all tied in together. Like I'm always trying to see what the link is, right? Like the meal last night, how did it affect my stomach today and my skin today and my breathing? And then when I was training, I was a little heavy on hamstring stuff. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I did drops last night. I did sleep. I dreamt this. I have this later on today. I'm just constantly trying to loop everything together and find what's the invisible thread that strings it all together to respond. So it's not just reps, sets, a meal, a meditation, a conversation,
right,
a journal, sleep, prayer. It's all like the invisible intangibles, which are the most important in my opinion, like the intention of it, the childlike simplicity of it, the consistency of it, like these things that are, it makes it, because everybody's waiting for me, I'm sure you, like, hey, Vlad, I want to train with you. And then when you're doing stuff, everyone's like, wait, I've done this before. Or they're like waiting for the secret exercise that only you know or only I know, or the secret herb or the secret. It's like, what are you talking about? This is not going to be something that you're getting, this like hidden gem that only exists to those that like dig and find it. Like, no, this is here. Right. It's going to be the stuff that people copied the programs from my book, which you programmed. You wrote them. There's literally dipshits that have put them on their fucking websites as like theirs with no credit towards anything else. I'm like, who the fuck are you, first of all? Secondly, a plan is only a plan is only a plan. Just like you said, the best is whatever. It doesn't mean it's the best for you. You have to apply it. And so when I was looking at like my plans or my approach to things, I'm like, it doesn't even matter. It's these invisible things that are unique to just me. And I know you always used to train by yourself. I didn't quite understand that. Like, you would totally go in, and this was a part of me just observing you. I'm like, wow, he's here, lights are off. Like, you were going, it was cold, and you didn't like to talk, you didn't like to do your shit. I totally get that now, because people are like, hey, TJ, can I train with you? I'm like, no. Like,
no,
I don't want to, because you don't understand. It's not a training to show you how big my dick is in like holding a push-up or me competing against you. I don't fucking care. Like, I'm trying to explore something that is mine, and it's mine right now. Just like a baby wasn't competing against another baby to like walk faster, suck the nipple to get the most milk. Like, there's just constantly driving to go forward to what the reason was. And now I'm starting to see a lot of those things enhance, but that's the biggest, hardest selling point for me when I'm giving somebody an idea or I'm pointing a direction. It's trying to sell those concepts. And that's when they're like, but then there's some dude that are like listening to our stuff, reading our stuff, and then finally, I get it. And when they get it, now the shit they've been doing, all of a sudden it just lifts up, and they're like, oh my God. And I love, you got to talk to Cassie at some point. Like, when she goes, she'll see people on screen. I get it. And it's like instantaneous healing.
Right.
Like in the speed of light, like right there goes. And so it's very profound. Dude, you had a not an idiot's guide, a Cliff's Notes, but like I've given tips and I've given stuff and I've given a lot of free shit. That's why a lot of people are like, oh, you charge this, or like, hold on a second. I've given you guys a lot. The book is $20. There's programs in there that Vladi programmed. There's recipes, tests. There's a bunch of shit. Like, if you really tear down all the stuff, you are getting valuable information. So don't fucking come at me with that whole like.
Right.
But I want to see from Vladi's point, what would you like part of your reason, like an action plan right now, or where do you want to take it right now?
I have it. I'm not prepared. I'm not prepared at all.
All right. Hey, everybody, get your fucking pens and papers out, or whatever the hell you write with chalk and a.
But just first, just to sort of continue on your story, when it comes to being paid in money, sure, you do get paid. And, it's not as easy for us maybe to get clients, but I feel like the ones that we do get will stay longer and will do better and more consistent because they get it, or they want to, or at least they believe you for the time being. And then hopefully you're not trying to convince them really because you believe it. You're just trying to wait until they see if that's something that they want to do. And because they do have to believe in it. If they're not believing in it, it'll still work, but not nearly as good. And, people will say sometimes, but you're getting paid for it. I'm like, hold on. Most people don't probably know this. You do, because we talked about it when I opened my gym 6 years ago. So 3 months prior to that, I worked for no pay. The previous gym did not pay trainers for 3 months. So I had expenses, building the gym, buying all the stuff, didn't have investors, did all by myself, just so I don't have anybody writing me. Yeah. And I can make all decisions myself. So think about that. 3 months, zero, train all the clients. Nobody knew anything because they didn't want anybody to lose the sessions. And then when I moved to my facility, the clients that were old sessions from the other place, that already told me before they knew I'm going on my own, that they're stopping training because they want to do this, that. I still honored it, knowing they will not stay with me. Yeah. I still train them for a few weeks just so they don't lose money to the other place, knowing that they are not continuing.
Yeah. Wow.
And last year with Rona, we did a promotion. It led nowhere, but it's okay. With David and I, guess how long we trained it's what is the usually when you talk to coaches, like if they give like free training for sports and stuff, on like a trial, what is like the norm you would think?
For a free trial?
Like a trial, is it like one session or two sessions? Like,
yeah, one.
Right. We did 6 weeks. If we had almost 30 kids, we did 6 free weeks, granted twice a week.
Case study, yeah.
But 6 weeks, and so when people say, you know, oh, it's about money and stuff, okay, then I'll ask them, you tell me how much of your work you did like that, and then you tell me if it's the money. And the way we sell, if you will, our stuff is hard because we are not wrapping it into the glitter and nice paper.
Right.
We just say how we think, but then you're not in conflict with yourself.
No.
Then when person starts, then you don't have to remember what you said. They're not going to catch you contradicting. Yeah. You're going to be always consistent, because I feel if anything that I can claim is that I am fairly consistent with what I'm doing. And that's one of my strengths, I think. And I don't know if that's not modest or not, but I feel that way.
Okay. I like it.
I'm sticking with it. So now that we got that out of the way, this is what I wrote. It's just simple, and this can be adjusted and stuff, but it's just my simple idea.
Everybody, write this shit down if you want to. You got to understand where this is coming from.
It's just simple. And I'll tell you why am I doing it like this. So I wrote what to do. It has to be intention. It has to be intention.
The title of this paper, What to Do.
Because, I never liked myself when people, tell or yell or like scold you or tell you how things are this, that, but they don't offer you solution or something. Yeah. Then you're not helping me, man. You're just criticizing me, but it's leading nowhere. It's making me worse, and probably you feel worse for it later, maybe, unless you're a psychopath, then maybe not. So anyway, it has to be intention, but even without, it will still work. Because even if you do it just like a complete automaton, like Feldenkrais says, he calls people's computers a while back, maybe even before the computers, it will still work. Just the process itself will improve the blood flow through your organism. The more blood flow, the more oxygen. The more oxygen, the brain will feed better, the organs, everything will work better. And then hopefully something that's hopefully still there, hopefully will get triggered, and maybe you'll want more.
Sure.
Maybe it'll take half a year. Maybe it'll take 3 years. I don't know. Depends what the tolerance is. But I'd say you should try this. I don't know. Before I would make more compromises, like you said, but not so much anymore. I said you gotta try for at least 1 year.
All right.
1 to 2 years to be fair, and then stick with it. If you know nothing what to do this. So what to do? Intentional or not? Intention is better. I say, and I dabble with this. How much time should we spend outside? 15 minutes, 30 before we said, oh, but people are not going to do it. But it doesn't matter at this point what people will do or people will not do, because either way, we are affecting or not affecting, it doesn't matter.
Truth is truth.
So I think it needs to be minimum 2 hours outside, minimum. Just the reason being, because when you go outside, especially if it's colder now, like it is here around Chicago, it's getting colder. It might take you 15, 20, 30 minutes sort of kind of just to acclimate for the outside. So you really can't, and also depends, what shape, how dressed you are. Now, you don't have to start with 2 hours. If say you're comatose, maybe go out for 5 minutes, okay? Add 1 minute every day. And people say, what is they going to do? Well, chances are if you go for 5, maybe you'll stay longer. But even if you go for 5, add 1 minute a day. In 100 days, you're at 105 minutes. You're closing in on 2 hours in just over 3 months, versus you started 2 hours and maybe 2 weeks later, you're like, this is stupid, I'm not doing it. If you're not in a shape, like if you don't have mental capacity for it, it's not so much physical, it's more mental. So generally, outside 2 hours average. Oh, another rule, you can't sit or lay down. So if you're on a beach, it doesn't count if you're laying down. If you're in the water moving, move however, swim, walk, whatever. Just you cannot sit, or you have to be active, basically. That's the gist. You have to move. Move however you think you need to move, whatever pace you think you need to move, or stand. But do not sit or lay down for 2+ hours. Then breathe. We already talk about this for almost 20 years now, but now it's making mainstream because there is a book about it.
Yeah, of course.
Breathe through the nose.
Right.
All the time. or every time you remind yourself or catch yourself talking, stop talking and breathe through the nose, unless it's really, really important to say whatever it is you're saying. Then for legs, I'd say lunge or squat. I prefer lunges because if you walk, it is a cross-crawl pattern, and people might be able to tolerate it better than the squat, because I feel like people also like movement, and I like movement myself, not just the isos. And I'm doing this as reps. So pick one, lunge or squat, and then build up to do 100 lunges per leg in a row, or 200 squats in a row without stop. And for that, I think I said 2 to 4 times, but keep in mind, if you choose 2 times a week to do this, you cannot now start skipping and doing 1. You have to make up. You can't have fixed days. 2 to 4 times, depending on the ability, age, and stuff, and how much you want to. Maybe start on a low end, because we're thinking here long term. We're thinking 4-year in Olympic cycles, right? Yeah. Those guys don't do Olympics every year. All the Olympics now is becoming a joke anyway, but still. So 100 lunges, walking per leg, 200 squats. The next one I said, some sort of bending over exercise, whether it's a RDL. None of this is with weights, so people don't have to go anywhere. They do this on their own. Something either RDL or touch your toes, or if, say, your back is broken, you can maybe do it seated or even standing. You can hold on to in front of you or for something, a rail or a couch or a wall or something, and perform bending over while supporting with your arms, whatever your ability at the time is. Or maybe it doesn't have to be long. Maybe just you go 1 inch. You go from here to maybe here. Maybe that's it. Okay, but you do that for 2 years, and maybe now you'll be here. Yeah. If you don't do nothing, maybe you won't be able to get up off the chair. So I'm saying for that one, it needs to be, in my opinion, anywhere in between 50 to 100 times per day, every single day. Then I like people to introduce the calf jumps, like you're big on the calf jumps. Okay. Pogo jumps, or like bounding, however you want to call it. Doesn't have to be aggressive. The whole thing is just that bounce. Yeah. Just that light, gentle bounce. The heels don't even have to leave the ground if you can. You can just bounce your body against the ground until you can take off. And that's for time, so you don't count, because it will be too many. 3 to 5 minutes daily, I'd say, to do that. Do that as just a general tonic, sort of invigorating exercise. Yeah. Or you can do it, and it doesn't have to be 5 minutes straight. Do 5 times a day for 1 minute. Do 10 times of 30 seconds. But chances are, when you give these times, if I give you 100 squats, chances are most people are not going to stop their day 20 times to do 5 squats each time. Maybe, but they're probably like a lunatic structure person. Right. It's probably going to be higher reps to get it done. And also, when you do them, try to think about the exercise. If you don't know what to think about exercise. Try to perform it the best you know how, and you think you can on every single rep. Focus. That will start to slowly put you in almost like a meditative state. Because that's how meditation happens. It's not magic. It's consistency and effort. It could be done through prayer, through breathing, through walking. Anything that shuts out outside influences and stops your mind from racing and thinking all this nonsense the whole time and sort of centers you, that's what it is. And then you want to get lost in that. And then maybe eventually you can pass through, when you get that halo going and stuff, or spiral, whatever, pass through the door and see what's out on the other side. Maybe I get glimpses sometimes, not regular, but I know it's something. Yeah. But I haven't, the most I've been able to is kind of almost get like grab it and almost go through, but not quite. Right. But I know it's something. So there'll be calf jumps, push-ups, any sort of push-up. Whether it's full push-up from the knees, if you can do it. Do it standing against the wall, if that's all you can do. Yeah. That's fine. Glad you said. And just gradually. That's hard as hell. Just like a wall push-up, that number, that could be like. Yeah, and I think push-ups, I say 30 to 50 a day. Eventually, you want to try to do them full if you can. And 3 to 7 days a week, you pick. Chin-ups. Most people don't do chin-ups. Most people cannot do chin-ups, and that's fine. You don't have to do the full chin-up. You can do kind of like that modified row with the feet on the ground using rings or something. Maybe eventually build up to chin-ups. But I feel if you're a healthy person, especially healthy male, that's under, I don't know, maybe like 80 or something like that, you should be able to get like maybe 5-10 chin-ups somehow. Most people can, but that's we are not thinking about most. We are trying to improve the humanity and world, and starting with ourselves. Right. So 10 to 30 chin-ups, or if you cannot do that, do the just hangs like you guys like to do. Yeah. 3 to 5 minutes daily. However, you know, do 300 sets of 1 second if you want to get your 5 minutes. That, then supplements, mostly for brain health. I'd say more than the spine, because spine will work with all this, with supplements too, but just because of the cross crawl and laying like that, I think it's mostly for brain. In my mind, it's the best for brain for that regard. 300 or 5 minutes, 2 to 7 days a week, just so it's not like, oh, I gotta do this every day. 2 to 7 days, depending, because you can't do everything all the time. And sleep, 6 to 8 hours a night with a 30 to 90 minute nap a day. So just to read it quickly, so we have 2 hours outside, breathe through the nose the whole time, lunge or squat many times a week, 100 lunges per leg or 2 squats, 200 squats straight. You work up to that. Start with 1 squat if you need to. Some sort of bending over exercise, 50 to 100 a day, calf jumps or some sort of bound, 3 to 5 minutes, some sort of push-up variation, 30 to 50 reps most days, chin-ups, 10 to 30 a day, or hang, 3 to 5 minutes every day. This one every day. Chin-ups and hangs always every day, because that's always lagging. That's always lacking.
Yep.
Supermans, 300 reps or 5 minutes most days, and sleep hopefully most days, 6 to 8, 30 to 90 minutes nap a day. That would be my sort of like a basic. If you don't know anything what to do, start with that, and you can start with as simple as 1 rep.
Yeah.
And try to add 1. Even if you add 1 rep per week, in 1 year, you're at the 53 reps if you start 1 rep today. You know what I'm saying? But people don't think like that. They don't have patience. Everybody wants everything right now without the work. But then at the same time, the whole society is talking about accountability and personal responsibility and this and that, but only for the things that we deem they need to behave in that manner, not necessarily ourselves.
Right.
And we have to do it ourselves. Like, I've spoken with nurses before. This goes to the earlier point that you were making. Like, if you're better health and you're better, you raise everybody around you and you're in a better position to help other people. So the argument I got from a bunch of nurses before, because generally they tend to be on a heavier side, and it's not the healthy heavy, right? So generally the reasoning would be, you know, they give everything to their patients and they don't take care of themselves. So I will argue, I don't doubt that.
Yeah.
But my contention is, if you improve yourself, maybe you have more to give. Or say you're really out of shape, you know, you gave everything to your patient, fine. But now say you're on a second floor, on a third floor, somehow happened, you're the only one there. Somebody's coding over there. Yep. You have to get there, and maybe you have like 15 seconds to get there, but you get there in 45.
Right.
That person is gone. So you didn't help them for something that you yourself could 100% control. It's just an extreme example, but sometimes I like to give like stuff like that, just food for thought. That I don't feel you can give. I always feel you can do more if you yourself are in a better position. Right. I cannot explain to myself how, if I'm ruining myself, how is that doing the best for others? I don't understand. You got to start from within you.
Yeah.
So that's I don't know. You heard this, what I said. I think it's just basic, very basic. Just something. So, you know, if you don't know what to do, start with that. If you need something more, something, contact TJ. Email me if you want. I might not give you an answer. I might ask you to do something, and then we'll see. Because I'm like you now. You almost sort of have to, like, maybe not deserve, but show me that you need, that I want to be involved.
Yeah.
Because unless I'm starving, then sure, I'll compromise more if I need to, right? Because you know, I'm not going to go and hunt right now. Maybe in a few months, I don't know.
Yeah.
But now, no. So, but at this time, and you know, if people say, well, you know, you're lucky or this or that, okay, I'll accept part luck. You know, didn't die in a car accident or something. We had all help.
Right.
But you know, you also don't know, as same as I don't know their life story. They don't know your life story or my life story, or what we think on a daily basis, or is everything like milk and honey? No, we have, or I do, have demons every single day, man. Yeah. Almost every single day. Sometimes, you know, the periods are getting shorter, but if I'm honest, a lot of the times, sometimes daily, sometimes that, I'll think to myself, I don't know, why am I doing this? Why am I doing any of this? Like, to what end? Because it seems like it's all getting worse. And not that I can affect it or not affect it, but just for me personally, like, why am I doing? But then I'm thinking, okay, but what is the alternative, right? I can lay and watch Netflix for like 2 hours or 3 hours, or I can go outside. I really don't want to go outside. A lot of the times I don't feel like going, but there's just ego stopping me from getting better.
Right.
As soon as I go outside, within few minutes, as now that it's pretty much instant, you're like you're present. You are present. And then my way to do it is I have tough time because I'm very analytical and very, I guess, left brain dominant, I guess, whatever. So it's really difficult. I can do it, but it's difficult just to sit in meditation and just do that.
Yeah.
For me, is better vehicle to put myself in conditions that will eliminate thinking just because they're harsh.
Yeah.
And then I have to focus right away, or I have to bail. And for me to do that is breath hold work, or being now in a cold, just in the shorts for certain amounts of time,
right,
whether it's windy or cold. Now, I only got as low as like 32 degrees with a 15-mile-an-hour wind for half an hour, but I don't know how it will be at 20 or 10 degrees.
Yeah.
But it's like you can't screw around, because it's completely different for me personally. So I'm just giving an example, saying there is no one way. If you accept there is many ways to skin a cat, find your way, but don't try to find your way every other day. Just look at different things, read it, absorb it, and try to think at least a little bit what appeals or to you or makes sense to you, or what you can wrap your head around. And then try it for 6 months or a year at least. And then if it doesn't work, so what? Do something else, because we are not doing this because it's trending or because it's fashionable or cool. We're all working out now. No, it's just a lifestyle. That's how it used to be.
Yeah.
And if we have the ability to do that, then why not? Like, most of us are not line workers. Most of us don't work in a sweatshop 16-hour days or coal mine or anything like that. And even people that do that, they're probably closer to it than we are.
Yeah.
Most of the modern people probably, maybe they don't have that much. If they do physical manual labor, they might not go and do 4, 5, 6 hours of something, but they're already doing stuff. They're surviving, and the whole system is set up that way that not like everybody's special, not special, but I feel not everybody will have access or have the ability to do everything exactly how they want. It's all like give or take. We'll compromise, because if that's true, if everybody will do whatever they want, we would not be able to go to the store and get food. Who would provide that? We will do so. But that also helps me personally. I have to appreciate that and recognize and accept that we have all these things that are so awesome that we can use, most of us, right?
Yeah.
Talking like this through the screen or whatever.
Yeah.
But we don't appreciate it because it's there. We take it for granted, like health. If you talk to people, I would wager that most people would say, if they think about it, what would be the most important thing for them? Probably health, I would hope. My own health, that people would say it's one of their, if not the, maybe top 3 most important. But yet, majority puts the least amount thought and effort into something that's most supposedly important.
Right.
It's complete paradox.
Right.
How can that be?
Right.
So,
dude,
that's why I reached out, and I just wanted to go over and sort of reconfirm and just go back through what we spoke before.
Yeah. And
just to maybe reiterate or maybe strengthen the resolve, or maybe if people are, I've been doing this for 6 months, it's not working. Don't think like that. It's working or not, that's irrelevant. Don't think in any terms like that. What you're doing is, even if it's not working, you do something for a year. Hopefully, you will recognize it. This might have double meaning, might not.
Yeah.
Even if you're doing something for nearly 2 years and it's not working whatsoever, maybe you will realize at some point that maybe you can do something differently.
Right.
Maybe.
Right.
Or maybe you're not. But there will be people that, might get triggered and stuff. And I personally, prefer maybe not to trigger somebody because I've done that in the past a lot. And for me, it sort of then later on doesn't make me feel great because I don't think I help them. It doesn't help me.
Yeah.
So I kind of stay away. I sort of stay away from everyone really the most I can, just so I have my own peace, and I have really good energy in the gym. Keep it small. Like, I said, nobody even knows, like the people that you met that just starting, they said, we would train here sooner, but we never knew you were around. Well, most people don't, because I didn't do single advertising. I'm good with what we have. It's enough to support my lifestyle the way I want to do it right now. And it's just a journey. And every day you wake up, you're still alive. Try at some point to remember and recognize that fact and appreciate it, and then pay it back to Earth that she still kept you here by doing something freaking positive.
I know. Dude, I love it.
Wait till I start with kids. Whoa.
Dude, wait a second. I want to continue this, but I'm going to bring on a surprise guest. You didn't know about this?
I'm nervous.
So my mentors or people I consult with first, like for advice before going out, it's cats, infants, and women. Okay, so I just feel like cats, infants, and women are connected to things that I could benefit from, and things that I have trouble with, I go to them first. So without further ado, I want to bring on 2 of 3 of these.
Is it a cat?
I don't know. We're going to see. I really don't know what's going to be on the other end of this screen.
It's just like some sort of little thingy.
Hold on. There's something on the other end of this screen. It's my consultant. It is somebody I've been working with over the last 5 months to help me connect to other dimensions. He taught me about nutrition.
It is.
He's taught me. So this is Billy, and he's my consultant.
Is he cute?
What's up, little bud? What's up, little bud?
There's a grumpy cat from those videos that has like a bazillion followers.
He's actually chill right now. Hi.
Hello.
Vladimir, this is Cassie. Cassie Vladi.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, virtually like this. All right.
I know, right? That's the best way to do it.
This is my grand idea. I just thought it'd be cool just for us to just jam. I told Cassie, Vladi, what your plan was, and I stumped it on her. I'm like, you want to join in? She's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I didn't know. He said he might have some surprise. All right, it's fine. It's all good.
A cat.
Now hold on. So Cassie, did I imitate him?
Almost I feel like I know you because of his imitation skills.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're pretty good. But did he imitate my voice is the question.
Come on. I can't. No. I do have a voice for Billy. I won't do it, but I have a voice for Billy. Is he gone? Cassie, he's gone, right? He's out.
He's gone.
Okay.
You had your few minutes.
Vladi, you'll like this. He's eating whole sardines.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like one of the best
like
foods.
A sardine.
One of the best foods.
Dude, V, I was telling Cass when you first, so I've shared with her so many things on how much you've affected my life, just not as a colleague, but as a friend as well. But Sone's unflavored cod liver oil.
Ugh.
Oh, Jesus.
No, the other one, not Sone's. It was the other one. It was the fermented one. Dude. From like the Blue Mountain or something. The fermented was
straight doo-doo into my mouth.
Demo gave me hers. She couldn't handle it. She gave me hers.
No.
It's pretty harsh, fermented cod liver oil.
But Cassie's all about tinctures and testing and all sorts of stuff.
I always liked it. Always liked that stuff.
Cassie,
I can't say I can do that, but my tinctures sometimes do taste awful. So
but you do it for a purpose.
Awful for a very good purpose.
Right.
So I want to make a point real quick. So what we have on this screen right now, and I it's not business at all. Like, I don't really give a shit where we go with this, but I've said this, and I'm very vocal about it. You two are, well, my really good friends. You guys know a lot about me, but I literally, in professional world, you are the only two names I trust. Like across the board. I won't, Vlad, you know this, Cassie, you know this. I don't recommend anybody to anybody. Like I don't say names ever. I don't say brands really. Like I haven't been able to trust anyone in these worlds. And you two now are like on the same screen, but I want to touch upon like one of the biggest reasons I trust you guys besides my friends, but besides like is you guys are constantly, one, your truth is unreal. Your authenticity and your integrity for yourselves, and then as a professional, I've never seen anything like it other than what I think I am or I hope I to be. Your truth is unbelievable, and then it shows with who you work with, but also your drive to be better every day. And Cass, you missed Vladdy's, that was part of what he was talking about, like constantly doing things, not just physical, like he talked about the mind. He talked like you guys both, Cassie, I know you could say like you're probably running a bunch of experiments on yourself, testing some shit. Vladdy, I know you're doing stuff. You know we've done stuff. I'm doing things. Like this is where we're kind of coming from, and the biggest reasons why I have full faith that if I were to send anybody to either of you, they're going to get truth, integrity, and the best of where you're at right now. And if I wait a month, you're only going to be at another level or at another level or at another level, because you guys respect human as being that's like what we're supposed to be, I think, in my opinion. So I'm just yeah.
Cassie, you want to?
I can go. You're like, oh my gosh, no.
But thank you. I guess it's like thank you first of all. It's just like like being people that I can try. Like it's so few and far between now outside particular people in the family, right? Like that's our crew. And
but I think that's too why we are so like fierce with what we do and why we stand for it. Like we stand for it because we know it. You know, it's not a guess. It's not like, I hope this works for you. Good luck. It's this fucking works. I know, but it's going to require a lot of work because I've done it. And it's going to taste like this. It's going to feel like this. It's going to smell like this. It's going to start looking like this. And so when we get that feedback of those hard times of healing, you're not like scared and like, oh, maybe back off. It's like, yeah, and now go. Right. Because of the ridiculous stuff that we put ourselves through. But it also makes you fall in love with it more, I think. I don't know, I can't speak for y'all, but like it makes me fall in love with what I'm doing more, because I know that like I have the grit and the fortitude and the endurance to do some of these crazy things. And so if it's going to work with me. And then when you do it, and then you can find a way to convey that to other people, and then you get to see the results of it working over and over. It's like this relationship status that you can't even compare, because it's so freaking real. It's not just something you read in a book and hope happens. It's like, no, this is like real and true. And if people could touch it, like if they could even experience one of the experiments, they probably benefit from us doing the crazy stuff. But yeah, makes me love it more.
Yeah.
But would you say you're doing all this, yes, helping others, but would you say you first, like you just said that you start from yourself, trying to make yourself better. And in order to do that, and for everybody else, I used this big word today already once. This is the second time.
Careful.
You got to have the wherewithal.
Yes.
Wait.
Huh?
That's
that
one
second
word?
time today.
It's where, with, and all. It's a one
wherewithal.
word. Is it hyphen? Not a hyphen word?
I don't think it is.
Wherewithal.
Guys,
that's the word right there.
This is what I learned today. Guys, this is what I learned. Hold on, Cassie. So Vladdy talked, he on this, like he was talking to some nurses who will then use this. And maybe if you ever wanted to share light on this, you can, but it was, I am not as healthy as I could. We kind of know that nurses in hospitals, they tend to not be as healthy because their reasoning is I give so much of myself to all my patients. That's why I am the way I am. And he's like, well, wait a second. You know, you should be a healthier version of you to give what you said to this. It just seems so hard that you would let yourself go. And that's somehow you taking care of somebody else. how that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it's actually backwards, because if you really believe in what you talk about, you're an embodiment of it. It's not just a routine that you do. It's like a life. Like for me, it's not something that I stop doing in periods of time. It's just how I freaking live. And so that's what I try to even tell patients all the time, because when you use these fundamental things as like medicine or as training or all of those different things, and you define medicine as something different, that's when I tell them, like, when you're down and when you're sick, you should go be out in the sun more, because being in the sun is medicine. So then if you're not feeling well, you take more of the medicine when you're not feeling well. So I want you to start reaching for the stuff that actually freaking matters. And so this is how I am in my life. Like, we're not symptom free, because symptoms are healing and we're constantly healing. But even in our work, we can't stop working sometimes, but we get to use our tools even more during those periods of time that we're going through healing stuff, because it doesn't end. I have to show up, and I have to show up 10 times better, I think, to go lead the way, because I'm not going to talk somebody through something that I don't know how to do, even when schedules get rough or times get hard or my personal life is freaking psycho. This stuff works even with all of there's no exception. There's no break to this. It is life. It works. It's true. And when you commit to it, you don't come off of it just because of a schedule or just because of a life crisis. Or this is where I really wish people could like flip it around and like be the medicine you talk about. Don't do medicine and talk about something different, because there's not congruity with that. And that's part of why we're all confused, and a lot of people don't know which way's up, because they're talking about one thing, living something different, hoping to believe in something different. And that's just a human mind can't even process that, much less live it, I think.
Mm-hmm. That's the whole thing. Keep us just confused. It's always the same thing, right? Because God forbid that enough people, if that guy, I don't know what his name, maybe Greer or something like that makes UFO movies and does meditation, gets aliens to show up or something like that.
Yeah.
So if he's right, maybe Steven, maybe not sure exactly like his name. Say if he's right, and enough people go over the threshold of consciousness required to get everybody to the next level instantaneously. If that's correct, say suppose it is, then the powers to be need to do everything they can to oppose that, because then these things won't fly. And I feel they have increasingly easier job to do, and because they planned it. Like we'll talk about kids later, but you just talked about commitment. And on one of your posts, maybe both of your posts, or joined one, maybe a while back, you said the people that heal, something like this, I'm paraphrasing, are the ones that actually go for it and believe it, and sort of almost don't have like a backup plan, right? Because if they have something, and then that triggered me to think, oh, I've already seen that. I've seen it in a Batman. The third one, when he's in that dungeon and tries to climb out of that prison.
Cassie's not as much of a cinephile as you and I.
Okay, so he's in this like crazy prison that like nobody can get out, right? And there is a rope from top to bottom, but you can't really, no, not the top. It's somewhere is the rope. But anyway, nobody can climb out. So people try, and if you remember, he would tie the rope about himself, Christian Bale, when he got stronger and when they fixed his broken back by hanging him for like a certain amount of time. So anyway, he would tie a rope if he misses the jump, not to kill himself, right? So he tried many times, failed each time. And then finally he comes to a conclusion, okay, the rope is the problem, because he always knows if he misses, he's saved. Therefore, he never fully commits. So then he takes the rope off. Now he has only one try and he makes it. Kind of like that guy that climbed the mountain by himself without any, what was it, free solo or something?
Yeah.
You cannot make a single mistake. So you got, now that's extreme. We are not telling our people, go without safety or something like that, something insane, but just the principle of it. Yeah. If I'm working with you, Cassie, for example, and you're telling me these things, but on a backup, I'm taking Tylenol or a leave or statins or Adderall or whatever, that's not going to work, really. Not at all. I have to, and if I don't want to, then fine. If I'm okay with it, medicating myself and at peace, and I tell you, hey, Cassie, I'm good, man. I'm good with it, then then I feel we should be okay, if I'm honest about it. We are not going to do the same approach, but we are still human, and we can still respect one another, but without that expectation, or like, you don't know what you're doing, or it didn't work, or, you hear this all the time. I've tried everything. Nobody, first of all, tried everything. And nobody even really tried like one thing. You're doing one thing your whole life. You just modify it as you go. But see, this is the problem. The parents now going to hate me. Now, just brace for this. I might get canceled after this one.
Put it on me.
So even better, because we don't have children. So people are like, oh, but you can't talk. But why not? I mean, then, if you're not a woman, could you be a gynecologist? Or if you never had cancer, could you be cancer doctors? You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't necessarily have to be that in order to know things. You can still read, observe, talk to other people. Anyway, kids are supposed to be perfect, right? And most connected. But this is my argument there. I don't know that that's really 100% true, because in order for kids, before they're even born, they'll be affected by the health status on everything around from the parents. And we have no idea how all the technology and waves, what we spoke before earlier, if it affects it or not, embryo or before even, or DNA long-term or anything like that. We know DNA can change over time, for better or for worse, depending on intention, environment, whatever, your interactions with other people, all that work that you do yourself, right? You can affect it. So that's my point of argument, that I don't know if we are past a point of no return or not, because in order to produce a healthy child, the parents need to be healthy. And we are anything but. I just read some report just for Tylenol, like more than 25% of the population uses Tylenol weekly, if not daily. And that's usually underreported. So that's probably more. And there is huge problems with it. So now, if we have for generations unhealthy parents, they're not going to produce a healthy child. Now, the beauty of the human organism is that it can overcome a lot. Yeah. And I think that's what that's how I interpret. When you guys say you can heal 100% of everything, that's how I interpret it. Doesn't mean you're going to grow a new arm, or if your ligament is exploded, doesn't mean it will attach or reattach or grow back. To me, what you guys mean, and if that's wrong, you can correct me. Healing is your body will organize and figure out a way for you to be able to do things without knowing that that's there or not there. And that's what kind of Jay was saying before too. And all these guys, weak spots in training or whatever, weak links, just train them so they don't express. They're always going to be there. If you don't have an arm, you're probably not going to grow it back. Although in labs now, I don't know what they're doing with all the crossing stuff, but normally you wouldn't. But it doesn't mean that the scar won't heal. You have usually people with deficits like that or some sort of accident actually end up doing better because their motivation is a far different level, because now they know they were mortal, they were vulnerable, right? Not like most of us taking things for granted because we appear healthy or feel okay. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to keep that in mind or remind yourself to appreciate it, because it might be gone in an instant. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's not until it's gone that you actually can recognize it. So unhealthy parents, in my opinion, cannot produce a healthy child, but organism has great powers. So maybe the ceiling will be lower, maybe hypothetically than it could be, but it still might be enough to cause some great change. And then now they produce a child, okay, and then they do almost everything wrong with it, like a lot of parents do. So then as the nerve system develops, I mean, it doesn't start developing, well, for men probably never stops developing. It probably never develops properly, even if you're 1,000 years old, but in literature, like up until 20s or something, right? So, but most development happens by like age 5 or something like that, like 2 to 5. And like we spoke before, the physical movement is the main driver of that for brain and nerves and everything to connect and to work properly. So now we eliminate that through baby Einsteins and screens and all this nonsense. So if that doesn't develop properly, now you're at the deficit. You can still do a lot of things, but I would just argue that they're not as maybe connected and pure than they used to be, just because the environment and the systems, that's why I think you're correct. All system needs to change. Just the manner of them changing would be up for discussion, because if it's something crazy, violent, like world scale sort of event, I wouldn't want that. But unless it's even for everybody, like I said earlier in the show, but or something more calm than that. So I don't know everybody's touched basically in a negative way. And the younger you are, the more I feel susceptible you are to all these influences that will almost like handicap you. It now doesn't mean that game is over and you should give up. I'm just trying to, in my mind, to me, that's sort of real. And it just, we can use it, or I use it as even more of a driver for me to try to improve, to offset. Because if we think everything is balanced and yin and yang and flow, and you can't have this without that, then if all these negative stuffs are happening, then I hope that people like us that are on screen or off screen will do everything we can for that time being for ourselves, and in turn also trying to oppose all this other stuff that's going the other way. Because if we can't do it, how are we going to convince or talk, or how will it rub off on anybody else if we cannot do it ourselves? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean it'll be great. It might take 20, 30 years, might make small progress, but even that small progress will be way, way more significant than have we done nothing or went the other way and do things negative. And then when it comes to kids also, so, you know, people will give reasons, this, and that's fine. I can respect it, but I'll say, TJ doesn't like when you say but, because he cancels everything before that.
I got that from Cassie.
Right, which is true most of the time. But it should be greatest responsibility. You give life to this precious new human. Yeah, it should be your highest order, what do you call it, responsibility, right? And then kid is growing up and most people just feed him cereal or this nonsense. Nobody cooks anymore. You neglect it. And the kid didn't ask to be here. The parents chose, whether intentionally or not, they did that. The kid didn't choose. It just got there, right? And now something that's supposed to be the most precious in this whole world, the brand new human, you completely neglect, or you like delegate to others, or you rush them, or you like implant on this, all these ideas that takes the whole lifetime to outdo or retrain yourself or start working towards it. So I don't think everybody should have kids, to be honest. I think there should be some sort of qualification for that, because, you know, it is special, but then at the same time, it's not really special. Anybody can have it. Just go to your local whatever store and see who is walking around. And you tell me, they're like, well, you know, people will argue, you know, maybe this kid will do this or this kid will cure cancer. Right, from all the billions of people curing everything. And it's cured already. You just don't want it because of the money involved. So it's all upside down. I don't think we can win, but I'm not even trying to, honestly. I'm just trying to improve personally myself, just a little bit, not every day, but on a week-to-week, year-to-year basis. And if I affect one person in a positive manner, to me, I'm content with that. If it's more, awesome. If it's just one, and it's more than one because I know from my own personal experience, but even if it's just one, to me, I did my job. If every person would do that, then, you know, half of the planet would be doing that, half would be affected. It would be completely different. It's not realistic. It's not going to happen, I don't think, the way we live in this matrix. But alternative is not for me. I will still be trying for my own sake. My own peace of mind.
I think one thing that this touches on, because I've actually been thinking about this a lot, like, how do we change this? Are we going to be, you know, the group of people that can even touch this? Because a lot of what's repeated, this time is really not that different. Like, once you read like Emerson and lots of stuff, it's like they were dealing with the same stuff with more beautiful words that we're dealing with now. But I think the thing where I've gone recently is the difference between a fix and a change. And I think that this pulls in that level of the individual, which is what we're sitting here standing for, saying we are not asking for the world to change, we're changing ourselves. So when you're outsourcing to anything external to you, any authority outside of the individual, it's not a change that you're asking for. From my investigation recently, I think that it's a fix that you're wanting. And so when I deal with people, and y'all probably can relate to this too, but when somebody wants to come in so that I can just fix their symptoms versus somebody with an open mind, ready to be a blank slate, saying, I don't know anything, I'm willing to change everything, I give everything up, that is a change versus somebody saying, okay, my skin's doing this, my gut's doing this, this is happening in my joints. Can you make my pain go away, my skin get clear, and my bowels start moving? And so I think in the world too, this is the difference that we have to get to, is on the level of the individuals when change happens. And the accumulation of individuals that are actually legitimately changing down to the fundamental level, us looking even into our mind. Why do we think the way we think? Why do we talk the way we talk? Why do we believe what the things that we believe, and who put it there? And if we were to wash it all out, what is actually there for us? And so as I've been looking into this, it really has been the difference between change and fix, and this, self-realized, self-actualized individual saying, just like what we're doing, if this is going to work, it's going to work in me. Because that's how I got into this medicine anyways. Like, this thing better prove it, or I'm going to go back and do the other, because that was at least guaranteed. But when I incorporated it, when I burned all of those ships, when I went all the way in because I really didn't have another option, I had to change because a fix wasn't an option. And so I think the place that we could get to is like fixing, we're past the point of fix, right?
Right.
And it has to be on this level of individual, this level of what all of us are here doing, saying, you've got to do it. You have to fucking do it. There's no other way. And just like swimming, nobody can fucking swim for you. You're going to have to get out there. You're going to have to breathe in some water. You're going to have to figure it out, because it doesn't matter how many books you have. When you get out in the water, like, maybe you can apply something, but you got to figure out how to use your body and actually swim. And I think if we can get to this level of this understanding of like, the revolution is not going to be because society changes or medicine changes, or because what's going to happen is if all of these structures do get demolished like we're asking for, what's going to happen is the people that actually are relying upon them, who are talking change but really meaning fix, they're not going to have legs to stand on. And so then it's this, if you're going to ask for it, you better start flexing the muscle that's going to have to be there to hold when this thing does change, or else it's never going to change, because you don't really want it to change. Because if it were to change, you would be drowning. And so this is where I think it has, like, the only way out is on the individual level, because if we're not doing it, we can't even, the reason we have the words we have, the passion we have, and like that drive we have, is because we've done it. We're like, guys, if you could do it, you would trust in this. So like when people come to me, and I know for probably both of y'all too, like when something happens to me, I go to me.
Yeah.
My medicine is me. I'm not looking at a clinic nearby. I'm not even thinking about an emergency room. I immediately go into troubleshooting, and people will be like, yeah, well, you're trained in it. Yeah, but it's still just a story. It was still just a book, because I have colleagues that don't go to themselves, right? So the difference is that application, even on that, if you haven't lost weight with changing your diet, moving your body, or repaired a knee or anything, and then you're expecting to go up against, big giant things, like that muscle hasn't been flexed enough to even hold that. So I think what we're doing is actually the only shot, or the only true way to get to change is on this individual level, because you can't have anyone else do it for you, or it's not yours. Like, just like if we talk about healing all day and all that the body can accomplish, if you've not experienced it and these are just stories on your device, it's when it comes down to it, doubt, one little piece of doubt could shake you to your core. And the difference between doing it is, like, even when people experienced in the field of medicine, and they've been in the field for 50 years and all this experience, but they come head to head with me, my courage and my strength and my grit doesn't come from wishful thinking. It comes from I did it and I did it 5 times, and then I've done it multiple times with all of these other people. So I don't care what you have to say and all of your research, because my lived experience is different. So I think our only way is on this individual level of if we're going to change, it's got to be us in our individual state first, then in our homes, then in our communities. It's not this go to the top and talk about stuff. It's do it. And then, when people see us, maybe they'll have questions, or maybe they'll be motivated to hang, for 5 minutes a day, or to do all of these things with their bodies and just see and try and experiment. And then through that, maybe learn something greater about themselves. And then maybe that can give us that that backbone and the strength to actually do what's, required now. We're not in a time where you can just sit back anymore. But I think that that's unfortunately what is being sold is like, we can talk now still. We have plenty of time to talk about all of this when it's right. Like, it's time to act and it's time to live the medicine you talk about or quit talking. And, we have a lot to undo, even with the kids, but even with children, what I've come to see is their families are their environment. So even when you've got a cell and cell culture, the culture influences the cell. So you could put a perfect cell in terrible culture and the cell's going to have the effects of that. And so then if you start looking at the family unit as parents first,
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do it. Change it.
Should be. Yeah. Cassie, you missed because Vladi brought up a great point. So he shared this brilliant manuscript that he wrote down entitled What to Do. And he gave this Cliff's Notes, beautiful Cliff's Notes version of things people can do at home. And it was so simple, but one of the biggest thing that stood out, I know you're going to appreciate this. I want to hear your views. He goes, of this list, what to do, give it from a time standpoint. So when you put together all these things, give it a year to 2 years. And I tried something, V, I don't even think you know this. I didn't lunge 2020. I didn't lunge. I just did one-legged squat, the one-legged squat. So my back foot was not on the ground and I didn't lunge. I just wanted to see what would happen. All loaded, bounces, holds, loaded holds, like all sorts of stuff, right? Injured my legs twice, my foot and my leg. All right. Just interesting. Just found some leaks, improved and went on. 2021, no one-legged squats, just lunges. For the most part, not perfect, but like just lunging. And so again, a year is going to be my experiment. You've done stuff. We've done stuff. It was like 6 months to a year. And then we noticed things like, holy shit. Cass, what do you think about that timeline? Like,
that's the timeline. No, that's the timeline that it took for me to see any changes in me and like doing everything.
Imagine, dude, she was going with five life-threatening things, no changes in 2 years.
Got worse. Everything got worse. Yeah. Because that was the healing.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's it.
No, I just wanted to continue on what you said. I just would like people to understand that, yes, we want to change, but it's a lot of retraining to do, or however you phrase it, right? Change or achieve, whatever. Anyway, get better, however you phrase it and tell it to yourself. That's fine. But the whole point here is, at least in my own personal case, and this is what I observe with a lot of people, some things we are born with, a lot of them are burned into us from when we are little, and those becomes almost like our fallback patterns and templates that it's really hard to get away from, especially in the time of crazy emergency. If things are falling apart physically or emotionally or something, some extreme situation when you're extremely triggered, most of the time you'll fall back to what you were doing before. It's really difficult to sustain it, that true change, and to sustain it or get better in prolonging how long you can hang on to that. That's where time requirement is. So that's why I would like people to understand that I think none of us here are, in nirvana or figure it out. We're all just basically just witnesses on this journey and just trying to improve ourselves and hold on to that the best we can. And hopefully in some aspects, maybe all, maybe not, over time, get changes that stay. And in order for that to stay, I think it needs to be repeated, it needs to be believed in, and in its time. And it will be ups and downs, in my opinion, just not to get discouraged, meaning nobody asks you to change or not change. You have to want it first. And maybe you'll work on something for 50 years. And hopefully if something extreme happens, if you fall back, maybe if before you would murder 20 people, maybe you slap somebody in the face. That will be maybe improvement, which I think would be major. Okay, it took 50 years for that, but I'm just sort of trying to illustrate what I think by it. So that's just in my opinion that I'm not sure the timeline of true change, I think it's possible. I think it would be rare that like you would change to your core, and we can only know that, we can believe it, I feel, but I think we can only truly know it in a really, really like dire situation, in something really, really emergency, like extreme situation, when we are tested at that level, then we can really see if we're going to fall back into our own pattern, or emotional, whatever, or we will be able to recognize it and not go there, or at least not have emotional attachment to that strength to something that happened like we would have in the past. Sort of control it better, if you will. And I think that's where this practice comes in, right? Like practice what you preach. That's why we work every day to try to hone in and get better in holding on to the better ourselves until it stays or it becomes permanent. And that all takes time. I don't think that can be done quickly. For the most part, you know.
Well, and that's what I talk about this a lot with my patients, because we work on the level of psychology and neurology and subconscious programming and all of that. And so some people can go to like a Joe Dispenza week long and achieve those, you know, more instantaneous, quick results. But if you look at the percentages, it's not that uplifting, unfortunately. And so for a lot of people, they come back massively frustrated. And I get to work with a lot of these people that have really want change. They want to experience it. They're trying really hard, and it's frustrating. And what I have found just through studying neurology is these neurological pathways are there on purpose. And it's typically through energy conservation when they come in. And so, or that knee-jerk reaction, you're in a moment. And so what you have practiced is going to be the strongest muscle. So if your right arm is stronger than your left arm and you're about to be hit by something, and your quickest reaction is going to be that right arm because it's your strongest too. And so this works in the brain too. So one way that like we look at it is through energy and through actual practices to fortify your capacity to not only change your neurology, but practice a different response. Because just like anything, the brain is doing everything to conserve energy, to keep us alive, and to like be as optimal and efficient as possible. And so it's brilliant in its design. And so when you're wanting to change on these fundamental levels, to truly, truly change, you do have to, it's just, I tell them all the time, it's like muscles, like, because even if you do brain scans, like think of somebody who works out all the time, their motor strip is big, juicy, you know, plush. And like if you trace it with glucose monitors, it's like very active compared to somebody who's sedentary and doesn't move at all. It's all atrophied and not very lit up. And so this is an actual muscle, a literal thing that is happening through use. And so with my patients, we work on the level of, okay, what's your knee-jerk reaction? First, you've got to be able to catch it. And then two, you've got to start actively, consciously creating a new pathway. And it's not an easy thing. It's annoying. It's catching it, changing it, catching it, changing it. And a lot of people don't want to do that mundane work. But then what happens, and this is the feedback I get from patients, is the ones that do that mundane work, the ones that actually try every single day, and you fail every single day, but you try and you try and you try, or it just feels stupid because you feel like you've got Bambi legs in the gym for the first day. And those people that have the grit and the, you know, the capacity to keep going for a big goal, what happens is when those traumatic events that we can't control happen, because they put into the work to change the way they think, to change their mind, to change a pathway, to change a program that they didn't want to use anymore. The ones that have done the work come to me and they're like, oh my gosh, I responded just like you're saying, totally different. And like, I didn't have any idea that I even had that in me, but I had been working and working and working. But it's the same idea that a lot of people go and try to push against a program that they don't want, which, just speaking on the terms of muscles, if you push against something, it's strength training, it's resistance training. It makes it that much more powerful. And the brain is this way too. And so it's more letting those things atrophy and strengthening the ones you want, so that in the time of a knee-jerk reaction, the one that you've been strengthening can outperform the one that you've asked to atrophy. And we have the capacity through the directing of our focus, but it's this daily work that nobody wants to do. That's what I tell people all the time, that they don't understand what I mean when I say grit. Grit is not the diet, the supplements, the movement, the sunlight. Like, it's not that. Grit is doing, like, knowing that you always respond this way and catching it one time and saying, I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to do it again. Or my intention going into this is going to be different, or I'm actually going to be present. Like, the reason we have programs and the reason we have all of these autopilot things are because we don't want to deal with life as it is. And so it's not the supplements and the doing that's the grit. It's catching your shit and trying to see it and trying to change it and do it every single day and be like, I did it again, and I did it again, but I'm going to keep trying. And so the brain is this, we talk about neuroplasticity, and it's a beautiful thing if you know how to use it, and to know that it's just like any muscle. Like, if you don't ever pick up anything, you hardly walk. Like, you can't expect to go into a weight room and even pick up like the lightest thing and feel good about it. And so the brain is this way too. And unfortunately, our minds, because of how the world works, we have weak minds, is from what I've seen. Massively weak minds without a capacity to focus on anything that would actually give us an outcome that anyone wants. And it's just reinforced through social media, through news. It's just like, have you had a bad day yet? Here's something else to pay attention to. And it's just this fragmenting of the mind and this monkey mind people have, and even getting them to like do these little practices of, just like y'all probably do in person. I do these things to see what is your capacity to focus. And it's bad. It's not good right now by design, not on our part, but, everything else that's going on in the world. Because if we could focus, if we actually could use all of our neurology or even a percentage of the power of our mind, I think that it could speed up, that timeline of how long it would take to see these bigger changes. Because I know for me, it seems to take a long time. And I'm working and I'm conscious and I'm trying to catch it. And I'm like, good gosh, this is long work, but it's worth it, because then when you overcome something, I feel like the better it gets, the better it gets. And the growth is just exponential once you start really trying, to even every week, like you said, are you better every single week somehow, even if it's just like a little thing? Are you better in some way? Can you focus longer? Can you, do anything better, because that's also training our minds. And I think that if we could go there, just from my patient population, it's our minds that are so weak. And I don't know, I just feel like it's the key, I think, is regaining the strength of our mental space, just from what I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. Hence all the efforts to subdue that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Everything does it. Everything. Yeah.
Guys, we're coming up on 2 hours. I'm going to go eat. You guys can still talk. No, I'm just kidding. So hold on. Are you guys, is there anything you're burning? There's so much we could do, and we could possibly do a round 2, because this was fun. I thought this was kind of cool, and I'm pumped that I have like 2 of my good friends at the table. It'd be nice if we could go get a meal together at some point. But anything you guys have left out, or is burning in your mind or your heart that you just wanted to fucking share?
Cassie?
I don't. I mean, I feel like I would have like a million questions for both of y'all, just from the little bits that I've heard, because it's so interesting. But I'm sure y'all talked about some things. I'm not sure what all I missed.
Well, V, she was like, literally, when we were like talking, it was like she had been approached by chiros and trainers and therapists and all these things. And then something that stimulated her to be like, holy shit, was the experimentation that we would do. Yeah, it'd be with electricity or but it was you and I, like, we're going to do this summer. And you and I would run some 6-month thing to just try something. And we would just like, you were like the king of experimentation. That's when she was like, wait, what?
Yeah, we would do like 40 days of something, same exact thing. And the deal was like, if you miss one day, you have to start again. So say you're at the day 38, you miss 39.
We're fucking at midnight, having to like do stuff at midnight. It was like,
and we worked at those days, 12, 14-hour days. So sometimes we would stay till midnight, 12:31. just to finish, so we don't have to repeat the whole cycle. We would start crying, like sobbing hysterically sometimes during exercises, just to like release. Just do it. And then TJ got into fasting. I've done fasting before, like 3 weeks, just straight water based on this Russian Malachov. Also dry fast. I've done that before too. TJ got a little more into it last few years, but we would do stuff like that just for a challenge and to see you're not just going to die. So you have a lot of untapped potential and reserve. Right. Just it's problematic that it has to be honed and sort of molded the whole time and reinforced, because like you said, it atrophies if you don't use it.
Oh, no.
And Cassie,
no, we're good. She'll come back on. I
Cassie left, and then
her thing lost battery. I guarantee you.
No, so anyway, you said before we go, I'm okay. Maybe do another one. See if people actually liked it. Then maybe. But I did write a couple of things. I talked with my friend. I didn't want to forget from my ex-best friend from Serbia, and this goes to the kids thing. We talked. He's not in sports or anything. Just works. He said, "You know why we got older, or why we are getting older?" I said, "Why?" Just his observation. He said, "Because we stopped playing. When we were kids, we played all the time in college, and then we stopped and stopped working." I'm like, damn. So that's insight. So I just wrote a couple of movie quotes. So for people that are still with us, something to think about. So I already mentioned Shawshank Redemption, Pressure in Time. It's all it takes. Then from Pirates of the Caribbean, we said that before too. That the guy says, the pirate says to Calypso, "I release you from your human bonds," right? We gotta say with love. Then I think if you haven't seen this movie, you don't have to really watch the whole movie. It's good, but I say if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, rent it again and just watch at least the beginning, the animated part of the movie. It's called Lady in the Water. Oh, so in the beginning,
the beginning intro,
the animated part, it explains you everything you need to know. Watch the animated part of Lady in the Water a couple times, figure it out. Then what else I wrote here from Matrix. So this is the quote that really, it's a bigger quote than this. It wasn't in a movie. They had to trim it because people wouldn't understand it. But the gist is this, what we are talking about. Neo speaks at the end. "I believe that Matrix can remain our cage, or it can become our," and you like this, "chrysalis."
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
That's not in the actual movie because they felt it would be too much for people to understand what it is, but it was the actual initial quote. So he said, "It can become our chrysalis." That's why you helped. That's what you helped me understand. He said that to be truly free, you cannot change your cage. You have to change yourself. A different world where all things are possible, a world of hope, of peace. That's what we all want. And then it's more than this. And then he says, "I can't tell you how to get there, but I know if you can free your mind, you'll find a way." So everybody's talking about the same exact things. And then I mentioned before Bruce Lee in one of his interviews, he said, to be honest with oneself, he tells to the guy, that, my friend, he said, it's a very hard thing to do.
Damn it.
But that's all it is. And in my own case, I reevaluate that every day. Every day. And it's not easy because it's much easier to sometimes tell yourself something or rationalize. And I do it all the time. But to Cassie's point, I'm working on getting better in recognizing it.
Sure.
Rather sooner than later, and then acting on it and trying to be better for it.
No, this is fucking huge. Yeah.
And I feel it's working because I had some instances that before would throw me off for like a week. Remember, like when we would miss a workout or something, we'll be like upset a whole day or something, you miss a rep.
Yeah.
Or like something emotional and then you're off the whole week. Now, like I had some pretty massive emotional stressor last week, and took me less than a day and a half to become detached emotionally from it, which before would haunt me for like a week or two. Right. I'm saying to your point, Cassie, how the work has to be done all the time and attempted to get better and better in catching yourself before you escalate and modifying your responses until the change holds and stays there. And it's not an easy process, and you mess up a lot more than you don't mess up, but you're attempting all the time. You're trying, and eventually you get better at it.
So hold on. So you guys, I've said, part of why I mean, it just goes without, is your honesty and your truth. In change of what we're talking about, how important is, Vladi, you just talked about, and then Cassie just came on, it was perfect, honesty. Like, how important is one being honest with yourself first, and then your friend, spouse, whomever?
The most.
The hardest thing to
do. Yeah. Well, I don't think you can really see what you need to change unless you're brutally honest with yourself, because everything that we do is a compensation to avoid seeing ourselves for what we are. And a lot of our neurological escaping or psychological escaping is because we don't want to see some of the things that we already know. And so we carry masks. We put out characters that we think the world is okay with because we don't want to see the truth about who we are, what we do, and how we feel. And I think that is the biggest work, because me personally, I didn't even know me well enough to know what needed to change until I started getting really honest with the human being in the mirror and seeing that, she was my biggest problem. And part of the hardest thing during my healing journey was admitting that, like, if other people can do it, if a cell anywhere can do it, then that means you can. And if you're not, it just means you could level up. And so you have to get really honest with what you're changing, what you're not changing, and know that you're choosing it all. And so it requires a massive level of brutal honesty, at least for my experience in my journey. And it's never ending. It seems like.
Right. It's constant, it's consistent, and it's always.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys if you guys can be vulnerable? Are you guys running experiments on yourselves now? Like, not now at this moment.
Yeah, I am.
Vladi, what are you doing? I'm just curious.
Well, I just added, now that it's turning colder, last year I did maybe 4 cold plunges in January and February, just out of nowhere, just to see. I told you, it was pretty cold.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'll do it now or not. Logistically, I don't know. I'm just rationalizing. I'm doing other stuff. But what I'm doing is, because I have this park close by, it's 7-8 minutes away from the apartment. So, I go walk every day, right? So my normal routine there is 6 days a week. I do 3 miles plus some exercise outside. And then on Sunday, I've been doing this last 3 months. So I walk half marathons each Sunday. And then once a month, I'll do more. So last Sunday, I did 15 miles. And then month before that was 14, but every Sunday is 13, right? And then, but it doesn't affect other things. I still do stuff on Monday and Tuesday and stuff. Just some challenge. But what I added to that is sort of cold exposure, like I was saying before to TJ. So I'll go in the evening after usually 7:30 at park, was dark now, making myself uncomfortable for the purposes of strengthening myself in every aspect. And then what I've noticed, my psychology is changing a little, maybe more than a little bit, because when outside stressors happen, I cope better and I get through them faster. And that's just my way. Everybody can figure out how they'll do it. So what I will do is I still walk my 3 miles. I'm slightly underdressed. So I'm sort of cool, not cold, but maybe almost slightly below pleasant. And then for about 30 minutes or so far, I'll just go in a shorts. So I look like a lunatic. If you walk by the park, 7:30 at night, I'll take all my clothes off except the shorts, and I'll keep the shoes just in case, I have to escape something. Sometimes there's foxes or coyotes and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just in shorts at the end of 3 miles for about 30-35 minutes doing stuff, whether it's spinal hygiene or on the bars or on the swings and stuff. No one is there. It gets pretty cold. The coldest I've been was 32 degrees with maybe 50 plus mile an hour winds. So it was pretty cold. So what I've noticed is when I'm focused and think just only about what I'm doing, everything is totally fine. The soon as I drift and start to think, I start to panic. I start to feel damn, I'm getting really cold. Or I'm starting to think it's a different quality feeling than a workout pain. It's am I going to be okay? Is there going to be a consequence to this? And then, interestingly enough, I'm able to maintain focus, no shiver response, nothing. I feel cold on the outside, but inside I'm not cold. And my core temperature doesn't drop because on a touch I'm hot. The hands, they are the only things that get cold for right now. But then soon as I put the clothes on, for next to 3 to 5 minutes, I have a shiver response because I'm done. I'm checked out. I finished. I'm walking to my apartment. So it takes me halfway until sometimes full way to get to the building, and my whole body is shivering, not uncontrollably, but I feel it. And then soon as I cross the threshold, soon as I open the door, get in a building, 100% stops. It instantaneously stops. So it's all mental. It wouldn't happen like that. And then, I warm up, and then the way I know if I'm hurting myself or not, I measure it. So I time myself so I know the time. I check the temperature, the wind, so I have some sort of guidelines for myself. Right now, that's part of my experimentation. And then the following morning, I can tell based on my breathing meditation and my breath holding time where my recovery is. Like if my breath hold drops more than like 5-10%, then maybe something is slightly off. Could be for various reasons. Could be because of last night. Could be maybe if I ate something, although generally I don't eat that late at night. I have different structure for eating currently for the past maybe year, or whatever, I was off. So then my reasoning is, if I'm off more than 2 days in a row, then I have to reevaluate and back off a little bit so recovery can catch up. But at most, I'm off maybe the next day, not from that, sometimes from something else. And I recover by the second day, or I'm not off at all. So I use those as a guidelines not to be doing something and damaging myself. You know what I'm saying? Because if the next morning I'm off and the morning after that I'm even more off, then maybe I have to get the time down being outside. Maybe I just go less than 30 minutes. Maybe I go 20, or maybe I watch the temperature or the wind, or maybe I eat differently. There is all these different variables, but my guideline is that shows me how my autonomic nervous system works. If I can calm down first thing in the morning, so I'll wake up about an hour earlier than I need to, generally around 4, because it takes me like 20 some minutes or so to do my brain meditation. And then I'll do 20 to 30 minutes of little things when I get to the gym because I just like to do it. Then I'll work, and then maybe I'll train, or I'll, do more breath holding underwater, in a pool or something. And then every night is this. So the experimentation is called exposure, just to see outside like that, how it's going to affect me. And I can tell you that I've been doing it for 3 weeks now. Whether it's because of that or not, I don't know, but the breathing stuff already improves. Now, I don't know, is it because, even if I believe that it's helping me, if it's placebo, but I am the placebo, so it's still working.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but it's very unpleasant, and I don't like it, and I feel that strengthens me more psychologically, something that I really don't like cold. Like if you would ask me, where would you like to live? What's your perfect temperature? I would say my perfect temperature is like low 80s year round. And at night, I don't like to be really below 75 myself. I would do that. And then I'll go in a cold, which I really don't like. And I don't really have any cushion or anything. I'm the leanest I've been in my life. Only weigh like 217-ish at this point, down from like 283 or 5. I do these things with my weight every like 2 to 4 years, Cassie. Sometimes I go up to like mid 280s. Sometimes I'm down to like 215, 216, but I take 2 to 4 years to change. I don't try to accomplish these things. So I don't have like loose skin or anything like that. Everything still fits. So I'll go like that. Normal person see me, they'll be like skin and bones. I don't feel that way about myself, but regular, normal mouth breather will be like, damn, skinny guy. And with the cold exposure, I'm trying primarily to strengthen myself emotionally and psychologically, which it seems that it turns into the other things, because if I can control my autonomic nervous system function, which we know we can, it's just not easy, and you need to work on it all the time. And I monitor it to being able to hold the breath after passive exhale, or just a maximal breath hold, or how long I can swim. That's another thing when you swim underwater. So I want to be able to always do like 50 yards. Why 50? Why 50? Because for special forces, they do that. That's like their minimum threshold. So I figured, if I can always do that. So it's pretty trippy. I can do more than that, but that's not the point. The point is that if I let my brain, if I start to think for like 1 second while I'm under, you know, oh my God, am I gonna, it's over. I start to panic creeps in within seconds, and I feel like I cannot go like another second. If I don't do that, if I get in a flow or meditation or zone or whatever, if I'm just in that moment, sometimes I almost fall asleep while I'm gliding under, almost get to that point. And then it's a lot more effortless and I get longer. So I just do that, not for physicality of it, but for autonomic nerve system and controlling my heart rate and my body responses, which in turn, it helps me deal with the outside stressors, emotional stressors, everything else. And I'm thinking, if my elimination is good, if my sleep is for me good, or I'm okay with it, it's not, that's my biggest thing. That's not great, but I'm aware, I'm not complaining about it. I'm content with how things are now because I do it how I like to do it. Not the best maybe for everybody, but for me, it's what I want to do at this point. But if when I monitor the breath holding and just the ability to lower the heart rate, like I lower it to like 37 beats or under 35 during meditation. So that tells me nerve system is working okay, digestion is working okay. You know, I don't have any water tension now inside. I don't know, maybe I'm exploding, but I feel I really shouldn't be. There will be signs, and I'm trying to be more acutely aware. And that's why I do these checks, if you will, like health checks on myself every single day through these measures. And then I know, and I just titrate it on a day-to-day basis. Fun for me to do it.
Love it.
And what to do with food. Oh, this is another experiment. So listen to this. People might not like this, but that's all, you know, you must be eating healthy and stuff. I'll tell you this. For the past probably half a year, I haven't been cooking or really making anything. I've been buying food and I'm eating mostly like fried food. Not that I want to stick with this. Mostly like pizza, frozen pizza, or I'll go Portillo's, or I'll go Wendy's, or I'll go to the store, get their lunch buffet, get like fried chicken or this or that. Nothing healthy, but all my functions that I can measure, if it's blood pressure, whatever it means or it doesn't mean, resting heart rate, breath holding, my general activity, strength. I mean, I'm more chin-ups than before. I'm up to 30. My best ever was like 27.
Fuck you.
So if all those things are improving, then they're like, oh, you must eat real healthy. That's why, you know, your body fat. My hydration, I talked with TG, is better than ever on Tanita. Even with the 5% error, I'm better than I ever was. So you don't have, and I'm not now advocating to do this long term. All I'm saying is that my intention and the things that I do are so structured in a way that on a day-to-day checks for last 6 months, I've been eating shit, if you will, but I enjoy every little bite of it. Like I make it, and I'm OCD. I count, I know exactly how many bites, and I get like a massive, massive enjoyment out of every single bite. Every frozen pizza that I eat, it's usually home run in. Not being paid for the advertising them, by the way. It's my favorite frozen pizza. Every one that I cook in my oven is the better than the previous one. Mm-hmm. Every bite that I take, it's like just trying to enjoy, get most of it. And everybody knows that. I talked to my Bulgarian buddy with the daughter. Yeah. He said, oh yeah, my grandparents told us you have to chew each bite, however many teeth you have in your mouth. And I read that before. He said like the yogi would get more out of like handful of rice than the Westerner would like from the steak and eggs and salad. They'll chew each bite like 30 plus times. Mm-hmm. So if you do that, you'll assimilate better and your bodies will just use it. And I can tell, like I said, through my elimination and everything, that even though I'm eating crap for past 6 months, everything is working better than 6 months before that. Now, I don't know if it's a sustainable model or not. I'm not trying to do this forever, but it's just something that I've been doing and that I've noticed. And as of right now, it seems like I'm improving. I'm not going the other way. So that's 2 experiments, the cold and the shitty eating, conditionally eating, but massively enjoying it for the past 6 months, like making a point to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I love that. That's what, I mean, I think we all believe that how you do things matters more than what you're actually doing. And it's hard because a lot of people can't actually enjoy to that level. But my experiment is kind of similar because it's all this mind stuff. Because I usually use herbs or some substance to elicit a change physiologically. And now my goal is to do it without the input of the compound and do it through a mental practice, and even leveling up my mental capacity to focus and to monitor my quality of thoughts and make sure that they are just to see what life, my body, my response to big life changes and emotional inputs, how I can manage those simply through not adding on any compound or substance at this time, like I would typically do, but through mind and through the deliberate use of my mind. Because just like you said earlier, I'm obsessed with placebo. And so that's kind of what we're doing is we should be able to turn anything into whatever. We have that capacity. That's why it's so annoying to evidence-based medicine research and all of that stuff. That's why they're double-blind, randomized placebo-controlled trials, is because of our capacity to screw stuff up or change stuff or interpret things a different way physiologically and have the output of whatever it is we think. So like, that's the level that I'm on now, is like, all right, let's do this, and let's do it without, a substance. What if we could do it with our mind alone? But I've noticed I had to start adding on the other thing of I've got to take inventory of the quality of my thoughts, because if you're going to use your mind to elicit a change, you better have that thing in the bag. And just to even me, who I'm typically more positive, optimistic, and people call me sparkly minded, but to take a massive inventory just of the caliber and the quality and the impact of my thoughts was, even very eye-opening. So to shift that in a direction that's actually going to touch and communicate to my cells. And then if I could direct that in a way that I want, I think that would be super rad. Or that's my current experiment.
All right. If everything is energy, right, then everything is energy. If you have yogis just sun gazing and just living off a sun gaze and maybe some tea for very extended periods of times, think that should not be possible, but it is, then why not eating fried chicken a couple of times a week for a specific person or intention would damage you? It's still an energy, still created. And if you set yourself up that way, now, I don't know. I'm not going to try to push this and see, 50 years of eating, what's going to happen. But all I'm saying is for the 6 months, I've seen improvements in myself in all aspects. And that's what I've been doing. So then it'll be interesting when I switch and start to do like I was before, a more sort of TJ approach to eating. It's going to be even better.
You drink egg yolks.
Well, I still drink eggs every day.
Oh, God damn it. You slurp some, Cassie.
Yeah. I only do 3 or 4 a day with cod liver oil as a chaser. But
yummy.
I know. At this point, they're tasty. I do enjoy them. It's basically really, really soft boiled eggs, except it's cold from the fridge. But I do enjoy the egg yolk at this point.
That texture. Oh my gosh.
Like a fucking snag, like a mucus. Oh my God.
I know, but I think of it as like I'm ingesting a small sun, like a life force energy. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
And it just, that's how I try to trigger response with it. It's like the most perfect thing that I can put is like egg. I do like milk also. Well, a lot of people don't, but I do. Agrees with me.
Oh.
You guys are awesome. I'm going to go eat. But listen, you guys are...
Wait, you didn't tell us your experiment.
My experiment. So, shit. Well...
Just lunges, no one-legged squat this year.
No, I am. So, I know I'm going... Cassie knows this, Vladimir knows this, but I want to, scare myself more. Because I everything's pretty comfortable and awesome. like, and I'll walk everywhere and I get it, but I'm not, like, Vladi, you know that, like, my walking thresholds, I'm not walking till I get scared. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I haven't really, it hasn't happened since the desert when I got lost and I was like, that I thought I was going to die. Like, I truly thought I was going to die. And then came this, like, profound experience. Like, I haven't done things in a way of, like, really freaked myself out. And so I shifted, like, so that's what sparked 44-inch drops last night, 100 reps. Like, my body, my ankles, my abdomen was like, no way. I don't know. And that's where I need to scare myself. I am experimenting more with the electricity, V. I'm bringing that back in.
Why not?
And doing some crazy shit there. I will say this. So I gotta say, I want to brag about you two, real quick, independent of each other. First of all, Vladi's gotten close to 5 minutes straight on the hang, Cass. So I just like next level. Okay. And none of this none of this taped bar bullshit where people are doing like 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, I did it on taped bar. Like, fuck you. He's doing it on wooden rings. Like, that's it. So anyway, so there's that. All right. Vladi, Cassie, I have loaned so she could experiment doing lymph stuff with the electricity.
Right.
I may have guided her, but she had it on VMO, VLO, and both legs, or no, sorry, front leg only, to 10. One-legged squat, hold 10, rep 10 bounces 3 times through 3 sets at 10.
Damn.
Second time using it.
It wasn't fun.
I just want to.
So your brain is good.
She's got these levels, like everyone. Everybody in here has these levels that we all know, and I think we're just.
That's fantastic. Yeah, so your brain is rock solid,
dude. Second time using it. That's what and all just on faith of what I've described it to be. Like, this isn't gonna kill me.
Yeah, no, I thought I could die there, but.
Yeah.
It was gnarly.
Anyway.
Well, if you're looking to get scared.
It was prefaced with hearing everything that you two had done with it. So then it was like, that was like.
The bads, Bloody.
Really, I can try to do this.
Searching a 10, like, dude, on shins. I mean, we found spots on her and like gone to, it's just a tool, right? It's like an experiential tool. I mean, it's. Nothing.
Right. Nothing is like end all be all for anything. It's just, we just use it to our advantage. If we can't, find something else. Do something else.
Yeah.
But I was going to tell you, if you want to get scared, if you are like around these parts in January or February, we could go like polar plunge.
Bloody, I'm coming next week. I didn't tell you this. So I'm going to be there.
We can go next week. It's not going to be quite as cold. We'll go next week.
Wednesday night to Sunday, I'm there visiting Tam. Tam talked me into Thanksgiving, so I'll have Saturday and Sunday somewhere there. I got to see Lyle too. So
all right, yeah, it's not gonna be bad. The water is, I think, gonna be in the 40s, something not too bad. But if you don't like cold like that,
I fucking hate it.
Yeah, if you same. So if you wanna get scared, it's pretty scary.
I have 2 pea coats and long underwear. And it's so yeah. So all right, I'm gonna be down for something. I kind of want to get scared and get all fucked up with stuff, like with the experience of life.
Okay.
Just because I know we all know we can go harder, right? We can go more. We can push more. Like, how do we know our threshold? We just don't know. And I'm not talking like a boot camp or a fucking survival thing. Like, what do we have access to right now to find these thresholds? It's all right here. I don't know. I love both your
brain want to maintain status quo, wants to keep you where you're at all times, and to challenge that's what's hard part, and that's what gets to be attacked all the time.
Yeah,
I think.
I love it. All right, guys, You guys are awesome. This was awesome. If you guys, we should do another one. I know this is gonna be golden. So
it's so good to meet you. I have so much respect just from stories. So it's good to meet you in person. I'm glad you got to meet my cat.
This was fun.
Yes. So yeah, see what the feedback is, and then when we get in the zone again, why not do it again?
We'll do it. We'll call another meeting, another roundtable, another meeting of the rings. Okay.
Or people can say, if people can give you what they would like discussed, and then we can maybe do it that way. Just take one or two topics and say what we think from our observation and experience.
I like it.
I don't know. I don't do this anywhere else, so if you do it,
Vladi, do you have any idea what I'm going to eat tonight?
I don't know, some like massive salad with like nonsense home dressing to make, and like cabbage and whatever, 20 other things, and something cooked and whatever.
So Cassie, I told you I lived with him for 6 months. He let me like squat on his floor, and it was just like a nightmare, like me making my dinner.
Yeah, so something like that. I don't know. I'm going to have a couple of like blueberry bagels with butter, I think.
See, this is what he'd go with these. He'd have like 12 eggs and like 10 tomatoes. And then he'd be standing in front of his fridge, and I'd hear the spoon hit the jar, spoon hit the jar, spoon hit the jar. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'd turn and look, and he's standing in front of his fridge eating yogurt, but just, I mean, he's just like getting every scrap of yogurt. I've never heard anything like it. It was like what, yeah, anyway, like a cat with sardines or a cat with kefir.
Yeah. Oh, kefir, man.
I think Billy has a similar diet.
Billy, sardines and kefir. Man.
Sardines and kefir.
Cat. Sensei
Absolutely.
Billy. All right. B, I'm having pizza tonight, by the way.
Oh, nice. Frozen or delivery?
No, this fancy pants place down the road. I say it better than the person on the phone says it when they tell me to hold ordering takeout.
Good. I have 1 or 2 pizzas a week. That's like my staple vegetable. Pepperoni pizza. Pepperoni cheese pizza.
All right, guys. You guys are awesome. Let me go. All right.
All right. It was fun. Thanks, guys.
Got it.
It's so good to meet you. Bye.
Yep. Bye.